Part 54. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 537. Chapter 528, 7 Treasures of Phosphorus. A flash of green light erupted from the arms of the leading middle-aged man, and a bead the size of a child's fist, burning with green fire, flew out of his arms. The rich green light enveloped itself like a thin gauze. Seeing a face-to-face meeting, many of his disciples were captured by the other party, and the middle-aged man's expression suddenly changed. He stretched out his hand and pointed, and an axe light rushed out from his sleeve and slashed at Su Junming like lightning. "It's great, baby." Su Junming flicked his fingers, and the green light of the black magic lamp in front of his left knee skyrocketed. The bright flame was like an extremely flexible long snake. It circled the flying axe in the middle like lightning. No matter how it clashed, it was difficult to break through. The fire continued to move forward, heading straight towards the man. The middle-aged man looked horrified and turned around to run away. But how could his speed compare to the treasure that Su Junming worked so hard to train? In the blink of an eye, he was chased behind him and surrounded by flames. "Senior, have mercy on me. My master is the Red Flower Ghost Mother Zhu Ying." Zhu Ying, the Red Flower Ghost Mother, one of the 4 evils in Bianshan. Exactly. This junior is He Huan, the 3rd disciple of our master. Seeing that the flame of Su Junming's spirit lamp was a yin fire, he thought it was also a ghost monk, so he knelt down and begged for mercy. "Has your master been reincarnated and recultivated?" In Shushan's swordsman, Zhu Ying, the Red Flower Ghost Mother, keeps herself clean and does not hesitate to reincarnate in order to escape from evil ways. This is a plot mentioned many times in the book. And not only herself, but 4 of her disciples were also reincarnated. "My master was reincarnated 3 years ago. I am here because I am responsible for welcoming the reincarnations of my mentor and 4 fellow disciples. Since it's a guide, your master must have left a spiritual guide for you. Take it out and show it to me." There was a trace of panic in He Huan's expression. "Senior, Junior's spirit guide is left in the cave. Why don't you come with me, and then Junior will show it to you." Su Junming smiled lightly. "No need." He raised his palm, and a small black clock appeared again. "Lost soul." The sound of dong went straight into the soul. The green light that protected the soul flashed and was shattered by the sound of the bell. Before He Huan could cast a spell to save himself, the sound of the bell hit his ears, and he swayed twice, turned over, and fell to the ground. Previously, it seemed that he was just entering the Yuan Shen, so Su Junming's soul-falling bell was just a small test and did not show his full power. Now it's time to do it again. Of course it's different. Overhaul waved his hand, and all the ghosts on the ground were brought into the Ksatagarbha divine gate and suppressed. The human soul divine gate flew up and enveloped He Huan's ghost body. Soon, memories appeared in front of Su Junming, like movie clips. "I see. This He Huan is indeed the 3rd disciple of the Red Flower Ghost Mother Zhu Ying. When Zhu Ying wanted to escape from the evil path and return to the righteous path, she had the idea of reincarnation and rebuilding her cultivation. She was afraid that after she was reincarnated, these disciples would cause harm to the spiritual world, so she prepared to force them to reincarnate with her. As a result, only 4 of her disciples, who usually did little evil and wanted to become immortals, were reincarnated. He Huan agreed verbally, but secretly stole the 3 treasures of the 7 treasures of Zhu Ying: Biphosphorus, Biphosphorus Axe, Biphosphorus Chong, and Yin Phosphorus Divine Fire Pearl. After Zhu Ying was reincarnated, he took over Zhu Ying's other residence, which was the underground Yin channel cultivation place thousands of feet below the Zhao family. He stretched out his hand and hit the bead that had just blocked his soul-destroying bell, a double-edged axe with a ghost embossed in the middle, and an axe, which was completely connected by blue iron sheets and shaped like a pangolin, about 2 feet and 3 inches long. The iron shuttle falls into the hand. These three items are the yin phosphorus divine fire bead, the biphosphorus axe and the biphosphorus chong. In Shu Mountain, although the 7 treasures of phosphorus are not famous, they are also magical. In particular, the biphosphorus chong was a spiritual treasure comparable to the 9 heavens and 10 earths demon god shuttle and the Swiren diamond. From the perspective of Su Junming's current weapon refining perspective, these 3 treasures all have flaws, but they still show their level. It can be seen that Zhu Ying, the Red Flower Ghost Mother, has extremely extraordinary achievements in weapon refining. In the world of Shushan, there are not many people who can compare with Zhu Ying, the Ghost Mother, in refining weapons. Master Yijin is one of them. Most of Yijing's 7 treasures for conquering demons come from him. The Holy Mother of the Golden Needle is also one of them. The 81 Suan Needles, the Sky Plague Ball, the Double Dragon Scissors, and the 9 Turning Wheel are all good spiritual treasures. If Shi Longgu hadn't messed up, and with the heritage left by Nai Mu, she might not be able to become one. Second-generation immortals like Mrs Tianhu Baoxiang and Han Xianzi have a bright future. In comparison, the red-haired ancestor also has a lot of treasures, but most of the magic sex things rely on human lives to refine them. As long as you kill enough people, no level is required. He casually pocketed the 3 spiritual treasures, and after some sacrifices and training, they were given to 3 generations of disciples so that they could be used. After figuring out the cause and effect, He Huan's consciousness was sealed and thrown into the Ksatagarbha divine gate. With the help of a bronze mirror, gaze at the yin veins thousands of feet deep. Now that He Huan was captured by him, he no longer had to worry about his dying struggle and destroying the yin veins. With a finger, a space channel appeared in the void a foot away in front of him. The celestial elephant gate flew into it and instantly reached the top of the yin vein. The surging power of swallowing and sucking exploded, and the yin veins, which were nearly 100 miles long and 100 feet thick, were swallowed bit by bit like a huge black snake. 3 days later, Ksatagarbha divine gate came to the front again after swallowing the true yin vein. With a bang, the heavy stone gate base sank deeply into the ground. Under the dazzling light, the green stone door looks extremely primitive. Su Junming stood up and the heavy stone door slowly opened. After stepping in, there is a void world 20 million miles away in front of you. With a wave of his hand, the black lotus lantern flew into it, and the rich yin vein spiritual energy that was originally motionless flew straight towards the light like a moth rushing to the flame. Visible to the naked eye, the power of the lights is getting stronger little by little. Although a fairy lantern with innate yin fire as the main component is good, Su Junming wants a lantern with a balance of yin and yang. Therefore, he used the yin and yang method of yin and yang to transform and practice the lamp holder by carrying the yin and embracing the yang. When the innate yin fire became extremely strong and gave birth to yang, this spiritual lamp was completed. Originally, according to his estimation, it would take at least 5 years, but with this intrinsically strong yin vein, this process was greatly shortened. Leaving behind a clone to worship the spiritual lamp, he took one step and instantly traveled thousands of miles to reach the yin vein. Not far ahead is a magnificent stone palace. This stone palace is what suppresses the yin veins. If this stone palace is destroyed, the yin veins will not exist. Take a few steps forward. The 3 words Ghost King Hall on the lintel gradually became clear. From He Huan's memory, he knew that this stone palace was not originally called the Ghost King's Palace, but the Ghost Mother's Shrine. It was one of the caves of Zhu Ying, the Red Flower Ghost Mother. Zhu Ying was reincarnated, and the name was changed after he occupied this place. After passing through the Grand Palace Gate, which is 3 feet wide and more than 2 feet high, there is a large hall supported by 9 dragon pillars, which is as large as 100 acres. In the middle of the hall is a Dharma platform, with the word Tao embossed on the back. There are many futons placed in the center of the hall and on the ground below. The Ghost Mother Zhu Ying was here to explain the way of ghost cultivation. There are many portals on both sides of the main hall, which are the places where Zhu Ying's disciples go to practice. Going around the side door at the back of the main hall, there is a cave-like Dharma realm that is 100 miles in size. The sun is shining high here, the trees are shady, and the springs are flowing. Although the scenery is a bit dull, it is pleasant. Compared with the gloomy color of the outer hall, it is definitely a different world. The core of the cave is a wooden house surrounded by a sea of flowers, and it is also the most restricted place in the entire cave. After He Huan got the ghost mother's palace, he couldn't open the restrictions in the wooden house despite all the hard work. This is also understandable. Generally, people with high level of weapon refining have good formation skills. Although He Huan obtained the true biography of the ghost mother Zhu Ying, it definitely did not include the formation Dao. Of course Su Junming is different. His weapon refining skills and formation skills far exceed those of Zhu Ying. After using the bronze mirror to reflect for a moment, he understood the whole story of this restriction. With a flick of his finger, a spiritual light moved forward 3 feet and exploded like a firework. Little bits of spiritual light turned into lines of eclipse. In an instant, bursts of auspicious colors suddenly erupted in the silent wooden house, covering the wooden house layer by layer, as if spider web-like restrictions emerged from nothingness, and the restrictions at the entrance gradually disappeared. Su Junming stepped in. Back away from the closed wooden door. With a squeak, an unpretentious and simply decorated living room came into view. Facing the entrance, there is a picture of red plum blossoms standing proudly in the snow in the middle hall. The bright plum blossoms, with their dry stems and branches and the white snow, give it an aura of aura. The couplets on both sides are, if you don't change your ambition after thousands of tribulations, the path to immortality will be achieved through disasters such as wind, fire, and thunder. Obviously, this is the owner's use of plum blossoms to express his unswerving pursuit of immortality. Su Junming smiled lightly. He is also a man of strong character. Under the central hall is an 8 immortals table with 2 black bamboo chairs next to it. There are 2 bamboo chairs on each side of the lower head. There is a tea set on the high table next to it, and there are a few pots of flowers and plants in the corner, which have withered because they have been neglected for a long time. Overall, the decoration in this living room is no different from that of ordinary people's homes. To the left of the living room is the study room. The bookshelves are filled with all kinds of books, not only Shaiyan, but also various Taoist methods and methods such as Pure Yang, Yin Yang, and 5 Elements. I casually pulled out a few books, and I could see various annotations in them. The handwriting was beautiful and neat, obviously written by a woman. After flipping through it, Su Junming found that all the annotations were meaningful, and they were obviously written after careful consideration for a long time. Even the handwriting of many annotations is slightly blurred, which is the effect of frequent flipping. Looking at the thousands of books on the bookshelf, this amount of reading has exceeded his. When I walked to the desk, I saw a few large characters written with vigorous brushwork on the white paper that was already faintly yellow. 9 deaths without regrets. The determination of the writer can be seen through the back of the paper. Staring at this calligraphy, Su Junming seemed to see the writer's firmer belief in his heart when he put down the pen. This is also understandable. If it were him, if he gave up his spiritual cultivation and reincarnated, he might not have such determination. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 538. Chapter 529, Red Flower Ghost Mother. You know, reincarnation and rebuilding are no joke. If you're lucky, that's all if you can return to the immortal path. If you are unlucky and reincarnate as a beast, you may be reincarnated for several lifetimes and may never be able to follow the path of immortality. The mystery in the womb is the biggest obstacle to reincarnation and reconstruction. Therefore, many people who are reincarnated and recultivation will find someone to pick them up in advance to avoid accidents as much as possible. But even if you find someone to pick you up, you may not be able to succeed. Just like Chen Lin in the Chinese world, although Su Junming has long been his disciple, Su Junming has not been able to find his reincarnation. Therefore, he admired the Red Flower Ghost Mother's determination very much. After walking around the study, he came to the quiet room on the right. Pushing the door open, a scent of sandalwood hits your nostrils. Not far away, a copper furnace with billowing smoke came into view. Next to the copper stove, sitting on a futon is a woman wearing a goose yellow dress, with high hair, stunning appearance, and a determined expression. 2 green jade tendons hang down from the woman's nose. This is the most striking phenomenon in Taoist military art. If you look closely, there is a small hole on the woman's temple at the temple. There must have been a sharp weapon that passed through her head, and that was how she succeeded. Looking at the physical body of the Red Flower Ghost Mother, she can achieve the soul, so her qualifications are certainly not bad. It's a pity that I took the wrong path at the beginning and didn't lay a solid foundation, so my achievements were destined not to be too high. Yuan Shen Earth Immortal is the ultimate. Although this realm is still elusive for most practitioners. But the Red Flower Ghost Mother was arrogant and obviously didn't want to stop there, which was why she reincarnated. His eyes turned to the table in front of the Red Flower Ghost Mother. There was an ebony box 2 feet long, 7 inches high and 9 inches wide. There is no prohibition on the ebony box. After opening, 3 things are revealed inside. A piece of gray-white bone with a texture like jade. A red flower as big as the mouth of a bowl. A small yellow bag. He stretched out his hand and the bones flew into his palm. The edges of the jade bones were completely cut, and the material was extremely hard, but it was hard to tell what kind of animal bones they were. On this bone fragment, which is about the size of 2 adult palms, there are countless etchings densely engraved on it. Taiyan Bailu. After Su Junming stared for a while, he slowly exhaled. What a wonderful secret technique of Taiyan. Although he had acquired many Taiyan methods in the Liuzai world, none of them were as profound as the Taiyan treasure record in front of him. And like the Biang Book of Heaven, this is a great book that can lead to becoming a golden immortal. The White Yang Heavenly Book is a Shaoyang method, and the Taiyan treasure record directly points to the Taiyan avenue. If Renwuji can't understand the Yin and Yang Dao method that directly leads to the golden immortal after getting Lu Dongbin's Chunyang treasure record, then I need to consider changing to another Dharmakaya. Suppress your thoughts and look at the red flowers next to you. It looks very much like a rose, but compared to the rose, the red flower in front of you is much larger. More importantly, this rose contains abundant innate spiritual energy. It is obvious that this is a fairy root spiritual flower. And what is condensed in it is not the wood energy, but the rich Taiyan spiritual energy. A Taiyan immortal root is enough to serve as a natal spiritual treasure. In the small bag next to the red flower is a magic bag with no restrictions. After opening it, spiritual consciousness is immersed. 108 blue-black beads as big as dragon eyes are reflected in the sea of consciousness. Feeling the rich thunder essence and evil spirit inside, Su Junming instantly understood. Shay Yin Divine Thunder. He had also practiced this thing before, and it looked like an oversized grenade. When facing a strong enemy, just throw it out. Although powerful, this thing is very troublesome to refine. He had the Shen de Zhenju, so he had no need for this thing, so he stopped after practicing a few. As for the disciples, instead of giving them divine thunder, it is better to give them a few magic weapons. Moreover, as he has more and more disciples, he has no time to refine this thing. Of course, now that I have encountered it, I will naturally not give up. Putting the wooden box into his sleeves, he returned to the living room and waved his sleeves. On the hanging nave, the blooming plum blossoms of Aoxu suddenly shined brightly. The plum branches that were originally painted on it actually flew down. Under the heavy spiritual light, it gradually turned into a red rose with a height of 1 foot, more than a dozen branches standing side by side, and surrounded by spiritual light. The moment it appeared, the temperature in the living room dropped sharply, and a layer of pale white frost appeared on the surrounding ground and furniture. Taoist jade spirit flower. This is a fairy root. Unfortunately, except for the mature one in the box, there are only a few flower bones on it and no mature spiritual flowers. It's a good opportunity for ghost mother Zhu Ying to arrive. With the qualifications of this spirit flower, it will be enough for her to be trained into the best immortal weapon in the future. This immortal root is the most powerful thing in the restriction of this wooden building. If not, He Huan would not have been kept out forever even if he tried his best. After getting what he wanted, Su Junming didn't want to stay here anymore. After putting away the spirit flower, he stepped out of the celestial elephant gate. It was already afternoon. Returning to Chongshan residence, he planted the Taiying coal jade spirit flower on the spirit island and brought Kuei Niu and Qing Feng out. Master. Uncle. After nodding, you have also gone to Chongshan Academy to teach and know the layout there. Today you two will make some changes here too. The 3 courtyards in the middle are all used as classrooms, and the 2 courtyards on the left and right are converted into dormitories. Remember, men on the left and women on the right. Master, you want to open Chongshan Academy here? Kuei Niu asked in surprise. Certainly. If you want to unblock your cultivation, you can only gain merit. There are many ways to obtain merit. Killing demons and eradicating evil is one, relieving the poor and spreading education is also another. Su Junming wants both, so he can get it as soon as possible. Go quickly. Yes, uncle. Qing Feng pulled Kuei Niu and ran towards the front yard. They're ready to go from there. He shook his head and stepped outside the door. He took out a plaque with black characters on a blue background and red edges and read Chongshan Academy and hung it above the lintel. This time he did not use magic power, but climbed up on the stool and hung it up. Then I took the paint bucket and painted the door. The scarlet paint made Kuei Niu's clothes dirty. With half a gourd on his head, he looked extremely funny at the moment compared to his tall and majestic body. According to Su Junming's instructions, after cleaning up the yard, he came out to help him paint the walls. At the beginning, it was still a bit fresh. When the oil stained the clothes Qing Feng made for him, the guy became a little impatient. Master, why should we waste time on things that can be easily accomplished with magic? Don't you always say that time is precious and cannot be wasted? Master, I have my own reasons. Just work hard for me. The reason why Su Junming painted the walls with great fanfare was to tell the people around him that this place was no longer a haunted house. Only then would ordinary people send their children in. Otherwise, how much merit can the beggars in Chang'an City provide him? In fact, Su Junming did achieve his goal. Ever since it was known that the Taoist priest who stayed at the old Zhao family's ghost house a few days ago was still alive and had plans to stay there permanently, half of Chang'an City was in a state of shock. There was an endless stream of people coming to watch the peep show. A few days later, the sound of Lang Lang reading could be heard. Such a strange incident naturally alarmed the local officials. However, anyone who came to show official power was thrown out by Kuei Niu, the gatekeeper. Sir, this is where it is. A middle-aged man wearing a purple official robe with a majestic expression nodded slightly and looked towards the house in front of him. Having been an official in Chang'an for many years, he had heard a lot about the Zhao family's ghost house. Although this is my first time here today, looking at the newly painted courtyard doors and the faint sound of reading coming from inside, it sounds like rumors. The ghosts in the ghost house have been suppressed by the Taoist, and he also turned the place into an academy. I have never heard of Chongshan Academy. Stepping forward, climbing up the steps, you are about to enter. Stop. Accompanied by a powerful and resonant voice, a giant man stood up on the large seat next to him. What a majestic man! Everyone was secretly amazed. Who are you and what are you doing here? Kuei Niu carried a wooden stick in his hand. Standing 10 feet tall, he looked like a door god. Even though he did not deliberately scare people, the aura of the great demon still made everyone retreat in horror. However, the middle-aged man in purple robe walking at the front was much calmer. Although there was a bit of panic in his eyes, he could still stand still. After taking a deep breath and calming down, the middle-aged man in purple robe cupped his hands. Strong man, I am Sidu Ding, the third-rank commander of the Chang'an general town of the Ming dynasty. I would like to see the mountain master of your family. Please let me know. 3rd grade. Hee, I didn't expect a high-ranking official to come. Please wait a moment. A hard-working man. Kuei Niu made a few seals, and a white feathered crane flew out of his palm, carrying a string of spiritual light and flying towards it. I didn't expect the strong man to be a stranger, Sidu Ding said. It's just a small skill, nothing worth mentioning. After looking at him for a few times, he said, you really know etiquette. You are much kinder than the guys I threw out in front of you. Sidu calmed down and smiled bitterly. If all the people who came before had not been beaten out, he, the commander of the 3rd grade General Town Division, would not have come to the door in person. The strong man teased. At this time, a white feather crane flew out from inside. Kuei Niu took it, looked at it with his spiritual consciousness, and turned sideways. The master has agreed, you can go in. But only you are allowed, not them. Grown-ups. After waving his hand to stop his men, Sidu Ding turned his head. You guys wait here and don't be rude. I'll be back soon. Sir, let me accompany you. A strong man wearing a short jacket and holding a long knife said quickly. No need. In broad daylight, in full public view, what can happen to me? Kuei Niu smiled casually, and of course he could tell that half of Sidu Ding's words were meant for him. But it doesn't matter. Master Niu is too lazy to argue with a mortal like you. After comforting him and accepting it, Sidu Ding took a deep breath and strode into the former haunted house. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 539. Red walls, green tiles, carved galleries and painted buildings. The haunted house has almost become a cat and mouse nest, and there is no trace of its former dilapidation. The red flowers and green willows that have been carefully pruned and maintained are rippling in the breeze, and the faint fragrance lingers on the tip of the nose, making people feel quite relaxed and happy. The dazzling sunlight shines down, illuminating the ground golden and full of life. Seeing all this, Sidu Ding sighed in his heart. Even his 3rd grade commander's residence was not as beautiful and grand as the house in front of him. Soon his eyes focused on a young man in his mid-20s who was wearing a blue robe. This man has a green gourd hanging on his waist. He is tall and standing in the courtyard with his hands behind his hands. He has a majestic look. After the two parties recognized each other for a moment, Sidu Ding, who saw that this person was extraordinary, took 2 steps forward. Sidu Ding, the 3rd-rank commander of the Chang'an General Town Department of the Ming Dynasty, pays homage to the mountain chief. Commander Sidu is so polite. May I ask if you have a daughter named Minjiao? Last month, when Pandeo first came to Chang'an City, his daughter was kind-hearted and gave me a piece of bread, haha. I didn't expect that the mountain chief and my daughter would have such a fate. Su Junming nodded slightly. My daughter is kind-hearted and innocent. Lord Sidu is so lucky. The mountain chief has given me the award. Speaking of his daughter, Sidu Ding couldn't help but smile on his face. Master Sidu came to my academy because he has something important to do, right? You might as well speak up. The chief of the mountain speaks quickly, so Sidu Ding will not be verbose. Recently, the chief of the mountain has taken in orphans from Chang'an City, given them food and clothing, and taught them to read. It is really a rare act of kindness. However, the place where the Shanjiang Academy is located has been a haunted house for more than a year. Although it has been resolved by Shanzhang's methods, some people are still worried that Shanjiang has evil intentions, so I came here today to check it out, so that I can help Shanjiang soothe the rumors and restore a clean slate. Although I am selfless in my heart, I don't care about any rumors. However, I still have some faith with you. Since you are here in person today, I will give you a tour. Please. Thank you, Chief, for being so accommodating. Please come, Chief. As Su Junming walked to the side room, a room about 100 meters high, in front of it was a 3-foot podium and a blackboard filled with the 3-character sutra. Below are 9 rows and 4 columns with 36 tables. Behind each table sat 2 children of 6 or 7 years old. 72 children were dressed in uniform blue and white robes. The boys all had half-inch short hair, and the girls all had ponytails. These little guys put their hands on the table and carefully followed the teacher to read the 3-character classic and learn to read. Judging from their rosy faces, it was obvious that they were well taken care of. Su Junming took Sidu Ding to see the 17 classes in the front yard, middle yard, and backyard. The latter found that there were about 800 children here. They were all divided into different classes according to different ages. Although the things taught are similar, the learning speed varies. But what is similar is that these children who once competed with cats and dogs for food in the garbage dump, ate one meal without finishing a meal, and died in a corner due to illness or heavy snow, are now indeed well cared for. After Sidu Ding saw the dormitory and canteen, he bowed deeply to Su Junming. The mountain leader has immeasurable merits and deeds, and Sidu Ding admires him greatly. I'm just trying my best, Master Sidu, there's no need to be too polite. Don't worry, Chief. After Sidu Ding returns, he will definitely report the true situation in the academy to the magistrate and report it to the court. I believe that the Holy Emperor will definitely reward you for his kindness. I don't expect much reward from the Emperor. I just hope those greedy people will stop bothering me. Sidu Ding showed a hint of embarrassment on his face. No one knows better than him what his colleagues are like. After thinking about it, he took out 100 taels of silver notes from his pocket and handed it over. Captain, my salary is not much, so I will give these 100 taels of silver to the commander as a fund to maintain the academy. Su Junming glanced at him and took it. I will take those children to thank Master Sidu for his kindness. Compared to what the mountain chief has done, my 100 taels of silver are really nothing. My lord, what you said is wrong. Don't you hear? Don't do good deeds because they are small, and don't do evil deeds because they are small. What's more, 100 taels of silver is not a small amount. Sidu Ding smiled modestly. The 3rd day of the lunar month next month is the little girl's birthday. If the mountain master has time, please come to the house to talk about it. If I have time, I will definitely visit the dojo. Haha, then Sidu Ding will say goodbye. I'll see you off, sir. Send him out the door personally and watch the group of people go away. Master, you seem to like Sidu Ding very much, Kuei Niu asked doubtfully. Many officials had come before, and even though they were polite and considerate, they were still blocked by him. Su Junming nodded lightly. The officialdom is filthy, and there are few people who can emerge from the mud without being stained. This Sidu Ding is one of them. Moreover, this person has profound merits and good qualifications, but it is a pity that he has not embarked on the path. You're not planning to accept him as your disciple, are you? Him. Haha, he doesn't meet my standards for accepting a disciple, but his daughter Sidu Minjiao is pretty good and can be my disciple. After saying that, he turned around and walked into the academy. The teachers in the academy are all his clones, and there is no need for his body to do anything for the time being. Arriving at the backyard, the original open space had been replaced by a black stone temple. It is the temple of the Ghost Mother that used to be the Ghost Mother Zuying, but now the plaque has been replaced. The words inner courtyard shine brightly in the sun. Stepping in, the rich aura instantly surrounded him. The cave heaven paradise, which was once 100 miles wide, is now nearly 200 miles wide. Not far from the bamboo house of Ghost Mother Zuying, a field has been opened and rice has been planted on it. The disciples of Chongshan Academy have never been weak scholars who pretend to be indifferent, but are all-rounders who practice martial arts to strengthen their bodies, and are also good at plowing fields and blacksmithing. Just like Chongshan Academy in Chongshan World, he will also teach qi refining techniques and cultivation methods to those with outstanding qualifications. With a wave of his hand, a line of blue light came to the sky above the cave like lightning. In an instant, thunder gathered, and the dazzling thunder fell down. Wind, fire, and thunder, the power of the 49 heavenly tribulations is vast. Because of the obstruction of the cave sky, it did not affect the outside world. After about half an hour, the immortal weapon tribulation finally passed, and a bronze tower 18 feet high, divided into 9 floors and 8 corners, suddenly fell. In an instant, countless spider web-like restrictions enveloped the entire cave. With the support of the formation, the space intensity here instantly increased dozens of times. He used the 49 bronze statues in Xianyuan Mausoleum to refine this bronze tower. A 3-level immortal artifact. It is called Chang'an Zhenjia. With its suppression, coupled with the formation he arranged, even if the true immortal comes, he will never be able to destroy this place. After nodding with satisfaction, Su Junming turned into a escaping light and left the inner courtyard. I'll be away for a few days, so you can take good care of the house. Kuei Niu, who was sleeping with a stick in his arms, suddenly became alert when he heard his master's voice. After quickly saying yes, I felt that my master's aura had gone away, and then I felt relaxed. However, sensing the clones of the masters in class, Kuei Niu secretly decided not to be too presumptuous. Thousands of miles south of Chang'an City, this world is huge, is Zongnan Mountain. There is no big sect in Zongnan Mountain in this world, and no great figures are mentioned in the book Shusan. The only thing that makes people remember deeply is the treasure left by Zhongmin in the late Han Dynasty. 3 Yang Yi Qi sword and green mirage bottle. Although judging from the Shusan plot, these 2 items are probably just spiritual treasures. With his ability to refine immortal weapons, he wouldn't have to make an extra trip for these 2 treasures. However, understanding the treasures refined by predecessors can also improve one's own weapon refining level. Moreover, these 2 treasures have been blessed by too many Shusan fan novels and have too much aura. The towering Zongnan Mountain is only about 200 miles away in the Chinese world, but it is more than 4,000 miles away here. The mountains are crisscrossed, with strange peaks and boulders, waterfalls, and springs, and the scenery is endless. 1,000-foot-high peaks line up one after another, and there are many giant peaks exceeding 3,000 feet. Although this majestic mountain is not comparable to Kunlun, Qinbei, Kangmang and other mountains and rivers spanning hundreds of thousands of miles, it is also a place that is difficult for apes to cross and cannot be reached by birds. Su Junming was in mid-air, looking at the peaks in the distance, sighing secretly in his heart. If it weren't for the fact that after advancing to the immortal way, the bronze mirror could already illuminate thousands of miles, it would be really not easy to find Zhongmin's treasure from these 4,000 miles of mountains. In the past, he could rely on heaven's secrets to deduce, but now he couldn't use it after confusing the heaven's secrets himself. Fortunately, he can use the bronze mirror's qi gaining technique. Something moved in my heart. In Zongnan Mountain, there are 10,000 paths of different sizes, colors, and shapes that rise into the sky. Especially in the center and southeast of Zongnan Mountain, there are 2 pillars of luck spanning thousands of feet, 1 gold and 1 purple, spanning half the sky. The rest are inferior to them. Obviously, These two people are both immortals. Sure enough, novels are just novels, not the real world after all. He moved the bronze mirror to look towards the place where the golden luck was, and an old monk wearing a worn-out cassock and a thin face came into view. Judging from his attire, he is obviously an ascetic who devotes himself to asceticism. Although this person's cultivation is not as good as Fenshuo, it is not much different. The bronze mirror is so magical that even a person who has become an immortal would find it difficult to detect its prying eyes. Turning to the purple divine light, he saw a middle-aged Taoist cultivating in a deep valley. A foot of purple-blue cloud floated above the head, and a round Tao fruit lightning flashed inside. It was obviously a powerful person who used thunder to enter the Tao. In addition to these two immortal-level figures, there are more than 10 people in Zhongnan Mountain who have reached the level of Yuan Shen. There are even more people at the nascent soul level, and not to mention the Jindan level, there are nearly 1,000 people. Found it? With joy in his heart, he took a step forward, and under the power of the void divine movement, he came to a flat valley that was shaped like a wild goose. The scenery inside is quiet, with a river passing through the valley. There is a bamboo forest on the east side of the river, and hundreds of peach trees grow on the west side. Judging from the way their dry stems and branches are, they have obviously been hundreds of years old. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 540. Su Junming descended from the sky, briefly looked at the peach forest in front of him, and then walked towards the bamboo forest opposite. These pillars are considered spiritual seeds, but they are not of high quality and are not considered valuable in the Zhongqian world. This is it. After a brief reflection, I flicked it with my fingers. The dense bamboo forest in front suddenly burst into a cloud of green clouds, and then slowly retreated. A cave 1 foot wide and 9 feet high appeared in front of Su Junming. There is no stone door at the entrance of the cave. The 4 words Bai Ling Immortal Mansion above it flashed with aura. Stepping in, after passing through a V-shaped tunnel, a stone room covering an area of half an acre appeared in front of us. There is a luminous pearl above the stone chamber, which casts a silver glow and fills the room with light. The spacious stone room is furnished with stone tables and chairs, which have become dusty because they have been unoccupied for a long time. On the left side of the stone room is the alchemy room, and on the right side is the quiet room. In the middle of the alchemy room is an alchemy furnace made of lapis lazuli. Its tentacles are cold, and it has obviously been extinguished for many years. Su Junming waved his hand and put it in his sleeve. Although this alchemy furnace is just an ordinary magic weapon and is useless to him, it can be rewarded to the disciples of Chongshan Academy. To the right of the main stone room is the quiet room. There is a stone bed on the inside, 2 stone benches on the side, and a stone niche on the left. The furnishings are simple. Su Junming flicked his fingers, and the stone bed suddenly trembled. Along with the green light, a stone box with a length, width, and height of 1 foot grew out of the stone bed. With a move of his hand, the stone box flew into his palm, the seal on it was unlocked, and 2 rays of light flew out from it like lightning. Certainly. Su Junming drank lightly. In an instant, the surrounding 3 feet became as stubborn as a block, and the 2 precious lights were instantly frozen. One is gold, one is red, and one is yellow. The 3 swords are 2 feet long. They are swallowed by dragons and phoenixes. The calyx of the sword is engraved with the 3 words Xiaoyang, Zhonyang, and Taiyang. It is a magic sword with pure yang energy reaching the sky. And a long-necked bottle that is 1 foot tall, has a clear blue light, and is very simple. Come into view. It is the treasure left by the immortal Zhongmen in the late Han dynasty. 3 Yang Yi Qi sword and green mirage bottle. The 3 swords are all spiritual treasures with 12 complete restraints. Taken together, although they are not as good as fairy weapons, they are worse than most spiritual treasures. The 3 combined into one are extremely powerful. What surprised Su Junming was that the blue mirage vase was not the spiritual treasure he originally thought, but an immortal artifact with an immortal taboo. This is somewhat unexpected. Taking the green mirage bottle in his hand, his spiritual consciousness soaked in, and he instantly understood the use of this treasure. This is a treasure that is mainly based on the Tao of sealing and supplemented by the Tao of space. Released during a magic fight, a green mirage seals the enemy's Taoist magic or magic weapon and stores it in a bottle. Moreover, this bottle contains a world of thousands of miles of void. Although it seems a bit ridiculous to him, it is enough for daily fighting. After being satisfied with his men, Su Junming turned around and left the cave. Reactivate the forbidden law to seal this biling immortal mansion. A good place to practice Taoism cannot be reduced to a place where animals reincarnate. Just as he was about to leave, a golden light suddenly flew down, and a middle-aged woman holding a wooden staff, wearing a purple skirt, and her hair tied high, walked out. This girl is dressed in ordinary clothes, but she is full of Buddha's light. Seeing Su Junming walking out of the bamboo forest, the woman's face instantly showed a look of shock. He quickly bowed and saluted. Luo Xian, a disciple of Suanv Temple in Minshan, has met the real person of Chongshan. It turns out that he is Grandma Jin. Luo Xian, after nodding slightly, "Do you know me?" The real person fought with the god Nefenchuo for 3 days and 3 nights in Biang Mountain, and finally won by cutting off the sleeve of the god Nefenchuo. Now it has spread all over the world. Although the junior dojo is in Hongshan, I have heard about the reputation of the senior Luo Xian. He nodded. Shen Nefenchuo was well known in the world. He could fight with her for 3 days and 3 nights and still excel in chess. Master Chongshan became known to the world in just a few days. He wears a green robe, has a green gourd hanging from his waist, and carries a green bamboo staff. His tall appearance is also widely known in the spiritual world. Luo Xian recognized it at the first sight. "I see." After a pause, "Why are you here?" The junior went to Kunlun Mountain to visit friends. When he came across this place on the way, he suddenly noticed that the treasure light in the valley soared into the sky and disappeared in a flash, so he flew down to check it out. Unexpectedly, he met the senior. As he spoke, his eyes showed disappointment. Since Su Junming is here, the baby will naturally have no chance with her. Of course Su Junming noticed the change in her expression, but since we are not relatives, it is absolutely impossible for us to give you some treasures just because you call me senior. With a flick of his finger, a little spiritual light flew in front of Luo Xian. "I see that the Buddha's light around you is burning like a raging fire. I think you have gained enlightenment on the path of flames. This jade pendant contains my insights into the path of flames. I will give it to you today." After taking over, the spiritual consciousness is immersed, and the fire method inside is extremely profound, and it has already reached the stage of immortality. Just what she needed now. There was a look of joy on his face. "Junior, thank you, Senior Chongshan, for giving me the Dharma." Su Junming smiled and nodded. "Don't give me magic weapons, just give me a little bit of spiritual enlightenment, but don't be stingy. Moreover, you can also gain a wave of gratitude, improve your status in the spiritual practice world, and make it easier for your disciples to practice Taoism in the future. Why not do it? I have opened a dojo at Chongshan Academy in Chang'an City, and I will give a sermon on the first day of the first lunar month every year. You can come and listen. The juniors will go and make trouble then." He glanced at her, took a step forward, and disappeared in an instant. "The reason why I decided to open a forum to teach the Dharma was for merit. Only by earning enough merit can the magic power be unlocked. Return to Chang'an City." Within a few days, the date agreed with Situ Ding arrived. After preparing 2 rejuvenation pills, Su Junming went out with his bamboo stick. Situ Ding was the 3rd-rank commander of the general town of Chang'an City in the Ming dynasty and a high-ranking official. His daughter's birthday was naturally attended by his colleagues. Su Junming didn't want to get involved in the mundane flattery, so he didn't come to the door until the banquet was over. Taoist master, stay. The boy guarding the door stopped Su Junming, who was about to enter. He casually handed over the invitation from Sidu Ding and strode towards the courtyard. The boy took it and looked at it twice. Since when did you have a Taoist friend? He shook his head. He had nothing to do with his master's affairs. He put away the invitation and continued his janitor work. As a third-grade official, Sidu Ding's house is not small. However, compared with the haunted house that was the predecessor of Chongshan Academy, it was much worse. It can be seen that Sidu Ding is not a greedy person, otherwise given his rank and ability. The large courtyard with 3 steps and 2 spans is just a matter of call. Haha, Master Sidu, I am here to celebrate the new year for your daughter. A long laugh alarmed everyone in the hall. Sidu Ding rushed out with a face full of surprise and hurriedly greeted him. The mountain chief is finally here. Sorry. I was delayed by something temporarily, so I came so late. At this moment, the woman whom he had met before had already walked out holding the little girl who gave him bread outside Chang'an City last time. Mom, it's Uncle Taoist priest. A look of surprise appeared on Sidu Minjiao's face. The woman was also a little surprised. She never expected that the headmaster of Chongshan Academy, whom her husband praised highly, was actually the Taoist riding a green bull outside Chang'an City. After looking at the mother and son, Su Junming turned his palm and handed over a jade box. Here are 2 rejuvenation pills refined by poor Taoists. Taking them can make people stay young and stay youthful forever. Today, I will give them to the virtuous couple as a birthday gift. Immortality. The woman's eyes lit up and she quickly took 2 steps forward. No matter which world you are in, as long as you are a woman, you cannot resist the temptation of youth and beauty. He wanted to put it off for a few words, but seeing his wife's expression, Sidu Ding took it. Thank you, Chief. Quick, please come inside. Su Junming nodded and glanced at the woman beside him. He saw a middle-aged woman wearing blue linen clothes and dressed as a maid. She was tall and strong among women. The latter noticed his gaze and quickly bowed his head, not daring to look directly. With a faint smile, he walked into the living room under the leadership of Sidu Ding. The banquet has dispersed and the food and drinks have been cleared away. Captain Shan, sit down for a moment. I immediately ordered the people to prepare a banquet, Sidu Ding said. No need to bother. I have been cultivating myself, and I have already gone without food. I have not eaten meat and wine in the secular world for a long time. Please forgive me, Lord Sidu, for my difficulty in cultivating. Please don't make me break my precepts, Su Junming said with a smile. Sidu Ding's face showed embarrassment. Isn't it disrespectful to treat guests like this? As gentlemen, you and I don't have to worry about these things. If you feel sorry for me, just offer me a pot of fragrant tea. If the mountain chief insists on doing this, then I have to be respectful and obey his orders. It just so happens that I have the fine Yunwu Ling tea brought by today's guests, so I will order my servants to brew it for the mountain chief. Su Junming nodded and turned to look at the child next to him, who was being held by a strong woman in sackcloth and still babbling. Is that Lord Sidu's heir? The dog Xingming has just turned 1 year old now. Sidu Xingming. This name sounds familiar, but I can't remember where I heard it. He shook his head mentally. Although this child's cultivation aptitude is also excellent, it is not as good as that of Sister Nai, Sidu Minjiao. He looked at the little girl who was nestling next to her mother and looking at him curiously. She has the most outstanding cultivation qualification in the world, the innate Taoist body. In the words of Shushan, it is the quality of immortality and jade. Su Junming was thinking about how to speak in order to recruit this young girl with extraordinary qualifications into Kongshan's section. Suddenly he frowned and looked up outside. Lines of black smoke enveloped the entire Sidu mansion. At the same time, Bursts of howling ghosts and wolf howls sounded from all directions. The servants of the Sidhu family were instantly confused. The female relatives in the living room were also scared to death and screamed. The heartless Han Sidhu, the thief, and the coquettish Huang Piun, get out of here. Along with the gnashing of teeth and hatred, a beautiful person wearing a black dress was ruined by a face full of violence, with 3 skulls hanging on his shoulders. The woman surrounded by black mist arrived in the courtyard like lightning. Han Chuang it's you. When Sidhu Ding saw the person coming, his face showed disbelief. The woman next to her, Huang Piun, quickly hid her daughter behind her, looking nervously at the woman in the yard. Become a disciple of Taoist priest for us. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 541. Chapter 532, Sidhu's Family Matters. Hey, isn't it just me? Didn't you expect that I, who jumped off a cliff to death, am still alive now, and have learned amazing Taoism under the guidance of my mentor? And you are just a mediocre person in the world. A small official will inevitably turn into ashes after 100 years. Sidhu Ding took a deep breath. Although he tried his best to be calm, he could not hide the excitement in his tone. Isn't this great? You can achieve enlightenment and become an immortal. I will only be my ordinary person, and the two have nothing to do with each other. Ha ha ha, after a nervous laugh, his face showed gnashing of teeth and hatred. Bah, you think so beautifully. You black-hearted, heartless bastards and beasts, if I, Hans Huang, don't kill you in this life, it's hard to eliminate the hatred in my heart for being an adulterer. Sidhu Ding's expression changed and he quickly protected his wife behind him. I failed you in the first place, please kill me and don't hurt Piyun. Not only did these words have no effect, but they made Han Chuang's hatred even stronger. Today I will not only kill you couple of bitches, but also your bitches and the whole family, not even the dogs or the chickens will be spared. Along with the gnashing of hatred, a ray of black light flew straight towards Sidhu Ding and his wife like lightning. Su Junming was about to take action, but stopped. In an instant, a red sword light blocked the front. Bang, the black energy and red light collided and scattered in all directions. The strong woman who was standing behind Huang Piyun with her baby in her arms suddenly stepped forward and stood in front of Sidhu Ding and his wife, staring at Han Chuang warily. After the latter saw that it was her, his expression changed instantly. How is that possible? You're not dead. That day you tricked me into your room, knocked me unconscious and buried you alive. I thought I was going to die, but luckily I was rescued by my master, Grandma Jin from Baikadong, Hongshan. She didn't mind my low qualifications, so she took me under her disciples to teach me. Now, I just didn't expect that you would also meet the fate of immortality, the strong woman said coldly. Han Chuang's face showed pride. Grandma Jin from Bake Cave in Hongshan is just a casual cultivator, but my master, the female owl god Zhang Sangwu, is a direct descendant of the Wutai section. There are countless strong people in the section. Even Ime, the leader of the righteous path, does not dare to look down on her. How can you and I compare? With a wave of his hand, the 3 skulls on his left shoulder flew down. Breathing out black smoke, evil spirits gather. Humph, you were lucky last time and survived. Today I will send you and your prodigal master to the palace of hell together. 3 evil confusion techniques. With a whoosh, the black smoke surrounding the skull suddenly turned into sharp arrows, which rushed towards the strong woman overwhelmingly. The latter looked solemn, and with a pinch of his hands, a little spark suddenly turned into infinite flames. The sharp arrow collided with it and suddenly shattered, but a fishy smell dispersed. No, it's poisonous. The strong woman was shocked. This poison may be nothing to her, but to the mortal Sidhu Ding and his wife, it is indeed a fatal thing. Just when she was anxious, a sudden wave of anger swept through her, and all the poisonous gas and black arrows were instantly swept away. Han Chuang, who was originally arrogant, was stunned for a moment, as if he was stunned by something. The three skulls turned into streams of light and flew behind them. Shocked in her heart, the strong woman quickly turned around. I saw that the Taoist who was welcomed by my master had already crushed 3 skeletons. Although Su Junming looked down upon these 3 dead human bones at the level of spiritual weapons, they were still objects rich in yin energy. After refining it, I fed it to the spiritual lamp that was still devouring the yin veins in the celestial elephant gate. Looking at the shocked strong woman, she smiled and said, "Are you Grandma Jin's disciple?" The opponent who was evenly matched with her was suppressed by this person in an instant. Of course, the strong woman knew that his cultivation level was much higher than hers, so she did not dare to neglect him at the moment. Exactly. My name is Yu Bing, and I'm known as the silly girl. It has been 13 years since I became a disciple of my mentor. Su Junming nodded slightly. How come you are committed to being a maid in the Sidhu family when you introduced Jin Dan? I was originally the lady's maid. It was only 13 years ago that Han Chuang tricked me into the backyard, knocked me unconscious, and buried me alive, so that I could become the master's disciple. Later, when I went down the mountain, I felt the lady's kindness for many years and voluntarily returned to the lady's side. Be a servant and repay your deep kindness. Sister Yu, thank you so much this time. Huang Piyun took 2 steps forward and held Yu Yubing's hands with gratitude on his face. Miss, there is no need to say thank you. If it weren't for the old lady, I would have starved to death on the streets of Sunyang. Later, although I was called a master and servant, I still love you as a sister. Of course, I want to protect you. If I really want to say thank you, I should also thank this Taoist priest. If it hadn't been for him, what happened today would have been difficult. Huang Piyun nodded excitedly and walked to her husband. They both bowed to Su Junming. No need to say thank you, get up. After Sidhu Ding stood up, he looked at Han Chuanger who was frozen in the air and hesitated for a while. I wonder what the real person will do with her. What do you think should be done? Su Junming asked with interest. Sidhu Ding hesitated for a moment and gritted his teeth. Sidhu Ding is so brave, please ask master to spare his life. Before Su Junming could speak, Yu Yubing had already objected fiercely. No, this person has repeatedly tried to harm the young lady, so we cannot spare her. Also, no one wants to see their murderous enemy continue to live. Sidhu Ding smiled bitterly. After Huang Piyun comforted her, she bowed to Su Junming and said, "My dear, my husband was originally married to Sister Han at the fingertips. Later, due to the grudges between their parents, the 2 of them separated. Who knew that Sister Han was very affectionate for her husband? After I found out that my husband married me, I sent people to make things difficult for me many times. If I hadn't protected her, the young lady would have been killed by her long ago." When mentioning what happened back then, Yu Yubing was still very angry. She is a girl, but she has liked boxing since she was a child, so she learned her skills from the Huang family's nursing school. For the safety of their daughter, the Huang family and his wife let her go. Huang Piyun sighed and continued. Later, my husband was so angry that he came to visit her. He said some heartless words in front of everyone in the Han family. I didn't know that Sister Han had such a strong personality that she jumped off the cliff behind the Han family's villa that same day. Because of this incident, my husband has been feeling uneasy for more than 10 years, and I have always felt guilty. Therefore, please forgive my husband's little kindness and spare her life." Su Junming nodded slightly. It turns out there is still such an old public case. Since you and your wife said so, I can spare her life, but this woman has a cold heart and is guilty of serious crimes. She can be spared the death penalty but cannot escape the crime of living. What does the mountain chief mean? Sidhu Ding said hesitantly. I have a magic weapon that can detain this girl forever. Let her die in my treasure in the future. He stretched out his hand and the frost flew into his sleeve and disappeared. Another labor force is obtained. Although it is not as good as the Yuan Shen, mosquito legs are still meat even when they are small. The more they are accumulated, they may not be able to play a big role. Sidhu Ding secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Out of guilt, he was unwilling to see the woman he once loved die, but he was also unwilling to let her kill his entire family. Therefore, imprisonment is the best option. He glanced at Sidhu Minjaya, who was leaning against his mother and looking at him curiously. Lord Sidhu, do you have a merciless request? Mountain Master, please tell me, as long as I can do it, I will do anything, Sidhu Ding said with gratitude. My Chongshan lineage has a destiny with your daughter, Sopandeo wants to accept her as a disciple, and I ask Master Sidhu to agree. Yu Yubing's expression changed slightly. She originally planned to recommend Sidhu Minjaya to her master when she was older. Unexpectedly, someone else would take the lead. I have the intention to object, but this person's cultivation far exceeds my own. He was also helpful to the Sidhu family. After thinking about it, he still didn't speak. You want to take Minjaya as your disciple? It's not me. It's my third disciple. Half a month ago, Qiao Shaoxan sent a message from Fihe, saying that she had found the treasure left by Ai Zhenzi, an ancient immortal from the Qin dynasty, in the Jinchi gorge of Yunwu mountain. The 3 Tushita purple flames, the 3 talents Jingning circle, the Tianxin circle and the Suanyan slips are all immortal weapons. She can't use so many treasures by herself. She should be assigned a few more disciples, otherwise wouldn't it be a waste? Having witnessed the magic of Taoism just now, coupled with the life-saving grace, although Sidhu Ding and Huang Piyun were a little reluctant to leave, but thinking that the academy was not far from home, Su Junming promised to see it once a month, so he agreed. He reached out and made a move, and a little spiritual light flew out from behind Sidhu Minjaya's head, turning into a spiritual talisman surrounded by purple light. This talisman was left behind when they met Sidhu Minjaya and her son outside Chang'an city. They saw that she had a gloomy look on her face and that she would be killed soon. Now that Sidhu Minjaya is following him, there will naturally be no danger. On the contrary, it was Sidhu Ding and his wife who came to seek revenge for Han Chuang'er's master, female owl god Zhang Sangwu, so it was better to leave this talisman to them. With a wave of his hand, the talisman flew towards Yu Yubing. You will hold this talisman. If someone from the Wutai sect comes again, you will crush it and the disaster will be solved. Thank you, Masato. Yu Yubing quickly thanked him. After smiling and nodding, he took Sidhu Minjaya, who was looking reluctant to leave, and left Sidhu's mansion in a flash of light. It was probably the first time for the little guy to leave home alone. His little face was full of reluctance, and he was sobbing quietly, silently, just like a child going to kindergarten for the first time. Seeing this, Su Junming shook his head slightly. He really didn't know how to coax children, so after returning to Chongshan Academy, he temporarily handed them over to Qing Feng. She is gentle and patient, and is loved by almost all children. With so many friends, Sidhu Minjaya began to become cheerful in just 3 or 4 days. Seeing this, Su Junming nodded slightly. With a finger, the light from the celestial elephant gate converged, and a space passage appeared in front of him. Take one step forward and the world changes instantly. In front of you is a cave-like Dharma realm that is 500 miles in size. In the center of the cave, a willow tree hundreds of feet tall is particularly eye-catching. Xiner's creation path is indeed extraordinary. If it is cultivated for a while, this Xianqing willow spiritual root will turn into Xianqing willow immortal root. As soon as the thought fell, a milky white light flew from outside the cave and arrived in front of Su Junming in the blink of an eye. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 542. Disciple pays homage to his mentor. The tone was full of joy. It was Qiao Shaoxin. It's just that she is not here in real form at this moment, but as the incarnation of her soul. Get up. Thank you, Master. With a wave of his sleeves, 4 streams of light flew in front of her. A set of 3 pieces, divided into 3 colors of red, green, and yellow, with the shapes of sky and sea, wind and waves, clouds, thunder, dragon and tiger, inscribed with the 3 characters of celestial phenomena, earth spirits and gods, with a diameter of 3 inches and a sparkling circle. A set of 2 pieces, shaped like a heart, 1 red and 1 blue, with 2 circles. A jade slip measuring 1 foot long and 3 inches wide, engraved with divine patterns, and entirely purple in the shape of a dragon. The last item is an oil lamp 1 foot 3 inches high, with an elegant shape, covered with a hollow bronze cover of auspicious clouds, and with a blue-purple flame. The first 3 items are naturally the 3 talents Jingning Circle, Tianxin Ring and Swanyan slips among the treasures left by Ai Zhenzi. In fact, the Tianxin Ring only has a Yang Ring, and the Yin Ring is now either in the hands of the son of the Qing Emperor of the Shenmue Palace at the top of the Great Wilderness, or in the hands of the old man Kazu. I don't know if the latter has been exchanged with the former. These 2 were the top experts in Shushan, and Su Junming didn't bother to exchange words. He simply used a piece of ice god jade in his collection to retrain the Yin Ring and made a pair with it. The last item was an immortal weapon he made using a jar of divine oil from the Xianyuan Holy Tomb and 2 purple and green Tushita fire flowers. Tushita purple lantern. Another vat of divine oil, together with the 2 Qiantian spiritual fires that illuminated the mausoleum, were transformed into a Qianling golden lamp. Qianqi's natal spiritual treasure, innate yin fire, was made by him using a purple-green Tushita fire, which was used to refine yin and yang, plus 4 cylinders of divine oil obtained from Wu Faranhe and Qianqi's mausoleum. A Lianji green lantern. The 3 spiritual lanterns are all middle-grade immortal weapons from the 4 immortals. It is also the highest-grade immortal weapon that Su Junming refined after taking a step further in the art of weapon refining. In comparison, Sankei Qingning Circle has 3 immortal forbidden immortals, which are slightly less powerful. The 2 immortal forbidden rings in the Tianxin Ring are powerful again. Swanyan slips are the worst, with only 1 immortal taboo. However, in comparison, Tianxin Huan will have higher achievements in the future. Because Su Junming once obtained half of the innate spiritual treasure Sunflower Water Spirit Ring from the Dragon Emperor Aojo in the ancient Dragon Court in the Liuzai world. The extremely mysterious innate spiritual restraint within gave him great inspiration. Even if you just press the gourd and draw the scoop, Tianxin Yinhuan can be trained into the best immortal weapon in the future. It's just that the Yang Ring is a little worse. It is precisely for this reason that he repaired this magical weapon in just half a month. I have retrained these 4 immortal weapons, and their power has been improved compared to before. Please accept them. Master, the disciple already has 2 immortal artifacts, the White Lotus Throne and the Green Divine Staff, and 2 top-level spiritual treasures, the 7 Treasures Flower Basket and the Kexia Yi, which are enough. Master, you should leave these 4 artifacts to other brothers and sisters. No need. Your senior brothers and sisters are not short of immortal weapons. You have earned these through your own hard work, so you can keep them for yourself. You are also a master after all. Now that Juniang and Ning Keichin have advanced to the soul, they must have 1 or 2 immortal weapon given. In addition, I have found another young apprentice for you in Chang'an. He has an innate Taoist body, excellent qualifications and extraordinary understanding. You will create an incarnation to teach her. In addition, this world is in the period of thousands of years of catastrophe for immortals, and talents are emerging in large numbers. If our Chongshan lineage wants to grow stronger, we must allocate some talents from it. Therefore, you don't have to think that there are too many treasures. I'm afraid that the future may not be the same. Enough points. After hearing what the master said, Chiao Shaoxin no longer refused and waved his hand to collect the 4 treasures. They will be indispensable for the future expansion of the portal. Let's go out and take a look. The 2 masters and disciples soared into the sky and left the cave world. The temperature around them rose sharply. What they saw in front of them was black and red flames and poisonous fire. This is not the first time Su Junming has seen this kind of evil fire in the center of the earth that is full of evil spirits and Binghuo spiritual energy. Back then in the Chinese world, there were all these things in the flaming eyes of Wuzhang Peak. However, as a Zhongqian world in its heyday, the intensity of the evil fire in the center of the earth at this moment is thousands of times that of the original Wuzhang Peak fire eye. The temperature is so high that it turns gold into iron. If Chiao Shaoxin had not become an immortal and was protected by the natal immortal weapon of the White Lotus Seed, it would have been difficult to block the burning flames here for a long time. Looking at the surging tide below, the lava fire colliding with the rapids rushed violently into the air, and was quickly blocked by a tough white light shield. A white lotus exudes gleaming brilliance, and despite the impact of the flames, I remain motionless. Chiao Shaoxin's true body was sitting on the white lotus throne. There was a flower basket at her feet, and the faint flame essence was pinched and poured into a red flower on the edge of the basket. In the future, you can use the Tushita purple lamp to pinch the fire essence. The 7 treasures flower basket contains earth, water, wind, and fire. Although it can also absorb the fire essence to grow, it must pay attention to the balance of the 4 elements. The efficiency is too low. Disciple, obey. After nodding slightly, he looked at the fire flames spreading across dozens of acres below. When you eliminate the threat of the evil fire in the center of the earth, the accumulated merit will be enough for you to unblock and cultivate. Chiao Shaoxin nodded. Master, I would like to bring Juniang and Keichin over. Su Junming nodded and said, it's time to take them over. Shushan world is the Zhongqian world after all, and its heritage and resources are better than Chongshan world. As soon as he finished speaking, a spark fell from the sky and turned into a 5-foot-tall monkey wrapped in flames, with red eyes flashing and holding a flaming stick. Judging from his aura, he already has the cultivation level of the late nascent soul. Su Junming looked at it with interest. Is this the fire demon you were talking about? When I first came to this fire eye, I encountered it and started to bother me. I saw that although it had a bad temper, it was not evil at all, so I defused the evil spirit in its body and became a spiritual beast to protect the law. After saying that, he turned around and said, Fire Eyes Yun, why don't you come and pay homage to the ancestor soon? The fire monkey quickly took 2 steps forward and bowed down. Disciple Huo Yun pays homage to the patriarch. Su Junming nodded. There are 2 fire demons mentioned in the Shushan world. The first one was the fire demon in Yunwu Mountain. He was killed by Jin Chan, Shi Sheng, and others because he almost overturned the fire eye and caused the catastrophe of the volcano eruption. Of course, now that it has been subdued by Chiao Shaoxin, it can be regarded as blessed. The second one is Huo Wuhei, who followed Guanhong and Yuliang among the 3 generations of Yimei disciples. After practicing for thousands of years, if it were not for the lack of suitable techniques, I am afraid that my achievements would be comparable to those of the 3 immortals and 2 elders. Looking at Huo Ba kneeling in front of him, after thinking for a moment, he opened his palms. A bead the size of a child's fist flickered with green light and flew towards the fire demon. This yin phosphorus divine fire bead was obtained by chance. I will give it to you as a protector today. Thank you, Patriarch. Huoyun took it over happily. This was the first time it had come into contact with such an exquisite treasure, and it felt very close to this founder whom it had met for the first time. Master, I am not proficient in the way of flames. You should give it a technique, Chiao Shaoxin said. Hearing this, Huo Yun looked over expectantly. After Su Junming nodded, he flicked his fingers, and a little spiritual light disappeared into the sea of fire cloud consciousness. This flame scripture is a secret of my Chongshan lineage. You should practice it all your life. Feeling the wonder of the technique, Huoyun looked excited and quickly prostrated. Ancestor, don't worry, disciples will obey. To be honest, Su Junming has no self-respect when it comes to practicing martial arts. The most precious thing about the Chongshan lineage is not the martial arts, but the bronze mirror in the dantian that can enhance understanding. This is the core secret that should be kept secret except by direct descendants. Take me up there and have a look. Chiao Shaoxin nodded and formed an incarnation, although Su Junming flew into the air. In fact, this was an extremely large mountain shaped like an inverted funnel. After 100 feet upward, a sharp shout came from the darkness. Who? Sister Yu, it's me. Chiao Shaoxin took the lead and flew towards a cliff hole not far away. Su Junming followed behind. It turns out to be Sister Chiao. Come in. Sister, my master is here. He is outside. Let him remove your restraints. How can I have the honor to meet my seniors now that I look like this? Sister, you are too worried. My master is a master of Taoism. He has been an immortal for many years and has profound morals. How can he be compared to those superficial people who only pay attention to appearance? Take my sister to tidy up a little first. It didn't take long before the voice of answer came from inside. Master, come in. Su Junming stepped in, and after passing through a 3-foot-long tunnel, his eyes suddenly opened up, and a stone room as hot as fire, about 100 square meters, appeared in front of him. In the center of the stone chamber, a beautiful woman wearing a blue sarong sat cross-legged, with 7 red fire chains, her hands free, and her whole body bound to the ground. Yu Luan is paying homage to the real person. He has some inconvenience and cannot get up to greet him. I hope that the real person will forgive me. You are welcome. Master, Sister Yu was unfortunately taken advantage of by evil spirits 200 years ago, so that she was bound here by Nashi Pan Liapo for 200 years. She suffered from smoke and fire every day, venting the evil energy of fire in the eyes of fire, and her merits are profound. Now the eyes of fire are profound. Because I am being restrained by my disciples, I hope that my mentor can untie Sister Yu from her bonds, set her free, and save her pain. The reason why she brought Su Junming up was to remove the seal on Yu Luan. Seeing the desire in Yu Luan's eyes, Su Junming nodded slightly. This woman can endure 200 years of fire and still stick to the right path without any resentment against Pan Liapo, which shows her character. Although Su Junming didn't need anything in return from her, as a person who knew how to repay his kindness, he had no choice but to take action. Moreover, she was also a close friend of Saint Antgain and Yijing's predecessor, Bai Yunv. Saving her could be regarded as accumulating some connections in the cultivation world for her disciple. Xiner, please step back. Chiao Shaoxin stepped back 3 feet as instructed. Su Junming spread his right palm, and the red sword light grew from small to large, and instantly turned into a long sword 3 feet long and 2 fingers wide, with restrained sword energy. What a powerful magic sword! Yu Luan was secretly shocked. She followed her master Pan Liapo and saw many powerful swords. Apart from the Ime sect's treasure of the sect, the purple and green swords, there is no magical sword that can surpass the one in front of me. Originally, I just wanted to give it a try and didn't have much hope for getting out of trouble. But seeing this sword, my confidence instantly increased. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 543. Fellow Taoist Yu, be careful. After Su Junming finished speaking, he stretched out his hand and divided the immortal sword into 7 parts. The 7 pure sword lights, like swimming fish, circled around Yu Luan twice. Choke. Along with the crisp sound of gold and iron, 7 crimson chains broke instantly as they appeared from Yuluin's body. In an instant, the surrounding sky shook and the earth shook, and there was a loud sound of wind and thunder. The green and white lights were like the scorching sun, accompanied by the sharp sound of breaking wind, and the sea wave was hitting here. Yuluin suddenly changed color. No, it's Master's Jade Dragon Guillotine and Wind and Thunder Needle. A divine door with a color like ancient bronze and a bronze mirror inlaid on the lintel rose above Su Junming's head. A bright silver-white brilliance soars into the sky from the bronze mirror. The green-white essence collided with this silver-white divine light and was instantly frozen. In an instant, the wind and thunder disappeared, the sound was gone, and everything seemed to be still. Su Junming stretched out his hand and pulled out a jade guillotine that was 1 foot and 3 inches long, embossed with dragon patterns, and shimmering. 7 embroidery needles that shone with purple light and were entwined with wind and thunder fell into his palm. The jade guillotine is a spiritual treasure that completes the 12 spiritual prohibitions. The 7 embroidery needles are a complete set of spiritual treasures with 7 levels of prohibitions. After a brief glance, with a wave of his hand, the 2 treasures flew in front of Yuluin, who was full of surprise. Fellow Taoist Yu, these 2 treasures must have been left to you by your master. Now they should be returned to their original owners. Please keep them. He glanced in awe at the mighty and unimaginably powerful bronze divine door and the bronze mirror above the lintel, and thought to himself. Sister Chiao, this master, not only has powerful magic power and high cultivation level, but also has a treasure close to her. She is indeed a powerful person. Bowed. Thanks to the help of the senior, the junior can escape from the prison. I am willing to give these 2 treasures to the senior to express my gratitude. Su Junming smiled faintly and shook his head. If these were 2 immortal weapons, he might still hesitate and forget about the 2 spiritual treasures. It would be better to let Yuluin owe the Chongshan lineage his karma. After all, this is also a monk with a heavenly master behind him, and his cultivation level is also in the middle stage of Yuan Shen. I have my own magic weapon, so I don't need it. As the words fell, his figure gradually blurred and his words became ethereal. Xiner, Taoist friend Yu has just escaped from the catastrophe, so you can congratulate him on behalf of the teacher. I have something else to do, so I'll leave first. Remember to go back to Chang'an and teach your new disciple. Disciple, I respectfully send you off to my master. Congratulations, senior. After leaving Jinshi Gorge in Yunwu Mountain, Su Junming did not return to Chang'an, but activated his escape light and flew straight towards Kangmang Mountain. Yunwu Mountain is not the Yunwu Mountain in Baihu, but is located on the border of Yunwu and Guizhou. So it's not far from Kangmang Mountain. Of course, not far is relative. In the world of Shushan, which is 20 million miles away, there is a distance of more than 100,000 miles from Jinshi Gorge in Yunwu Mountain to Kangmang Mountain. Fortunately, Su Junming is an immortal. He can fly without any trace and his speed is astonishing. It took him a day to reach the top of Kangmang Mountain. The light flew down and soon came to a hidden valley. The valley is surrounded by greenery, with a large square in the center and a large temple located on it. You can tell at a glance that this temple is very old. Most of the exterior wall powder and palace tiles have peeled off. However, the temple walls and palace are in good condition and there are no signs of collapse. 2 3-foot-tall toom trees in front of the temple shone with a faint green glow in the bright sun. Above the 1-foot-wide temple door in the middle, the words Snake King Temple have become dilapidated. Passing through the temple gate, 2 statues of gods with peeling gold paint come into view. Around the statue is a large patio paved with blue stone. The patio was swept clean and spotless. Su Junming took a brief look, then walked along the stone road in the middle towards the main hall in front. Although the main hall is dilapidated, it is tall and majestic. The steps alone are 3 feet high, and the grand portal is 1 foot 5 feet wide and 1 foot 2 feet high. However, the 2 palace doors have disappeared. In the main hall, which covers an area of half an acre, most of it is empty except for the 4 pillars supporting the roof. There is only one person sitting cross-legged in the center and 2 animals lying on their stomachs. This man was wearing a black robe with a green gourd hanging around his waist. He had a cold expression and looked to be only 11 or 12 years old. On the left rear of the young man, there lay a giant spider with a length of 1 foot, a body like a millstone, a body covered with bristles, 6 compound eyes flashing fiercely, and a bright golden light. Behind it on the right, a 9-foot-long, indigo-colored beast with a shape like a sheep and a single horn was lying on the ground, with its eyes closed and dozing. The moment Su Junming stepped into the hall, the golden spider that had been motionless rushed out like lightning. The momentum is like thunder, but it is also silent. With a finger, a silvery white light enveloped the golden spider, which seemed to have fallen into a quagmire and became motionless for an instant. Is this your new 10,000 years golden spider? It's very loyal. Thank you for meeting the great master. Hechi, who was sleeping next to him, stood up and said respectfully. Yes, I haven't seen you in a few years, and my cultivation has improved a lot. Thank you for the elixir given by the great master. After a slight nod, he flicked his fingers, and after the golden spider somersaulted a few times and landed on the ground, the seal was released. He glanced at Su Junming fearfully. He had already learned about his sex situation from Hechi's mouth, and he quickly bent down and lowered his head. Golden spider meets the great master. You two, go out, the dragon emperor said. Yes. With a respectful response, the 2 beasts quickly ran out. He walked to the dragon emperor and sat down cross-legged. With a wave of his hand, a net bag the size of a wash basin with flashing 5-color lights flew over. This is a treasure I made with the 10,000-year golden spider web and the 5 elements essence you gave me. Time is limited, so I can only get 1 spiritual treasure. When I have time in the future, I can make it into an immortal weapon. The dragon emperor nodded and waved his hand, and 2 jade plates flew into Su Junming's hands. The latter took it and turned it over with interest. Is this the Heshikishu? Didn't you already read the content? Su Junming and the dragon emperor are one and the same, and their souls are connected. The dragon emperor understood it after seeing it. You've seen it before, but it's not as real and interesting as seeing it in person. The 2 jade panels are green in color, each side is 2 feet long, 1 foot 3 inches wide, and half an inch thick. There are countless small seal characters engraved on the inside. Upon closer inspection, it is revealed that it is the training method of the 5 elements Qi of the heaven and earth, as well as the corresponding spells, elixirs, formations, sacrificial vessels, charms and restrictions, a total of 7 articles. 75,000 words, a complete inheritance that reaches directly to the golden immortal. If someone with extraordinary talent like Jinmei Jinren and Zhang Sanfan is obtained, they can use this to create a big sect comparable to Yimei and Kunlun. Yes, now you finally have no shortage of practice skills. After the Dragon Emperor nodded slightly, he glanced at him. With the Heshikishu, coupled with the Biang Heavenly Book, and previous accumulation, you should be able to deduce the Chongshan Taoist scripture True Immortal Realm cultivation technique, right? Su Junming nodded and said, the True Immortal Realm is almost there, but if you want to deduce the skills of the mysterious Immortal Realm, there is still a lot to be desired. You and I are not as good at cultivation as heavenly immortals, and I don't know how long it will take to reach the Xianxian realm. This matter is not urgent. In the future, I will get the alchemy book left by Master Chunyang of Sanshaya in Taihang Mountain. After my cultivation is further advanced, I will study the following techniques. It's not too late, Long Emperor said. You have obtained the Heshikishu. What are your next plans? Su Junming nodded and asked. Stay here for a while and see if we can find the whereabouts of the 1,000 years Akuo and Wanzai Kongqing. It's just Zuguo. Unless it's 10,000 years Zuguo, it's of no use to us. It's better to find it. It doesn't matter if you can't find it. However, if you want to stay here, help me find the whereabouts of the purple Yang sword. The Dragon Emperor frowned slightly. We can't afford to offend the long eyebrow master now. The fairy world in Shusan world is not inseparable from the lower world. For example, Master Chishang of Tianpeng Mountain can often visit friends in the Lingkong fairy world. Even people from the fairy world can go to his Tianpeng Mountain for a tour. It is estimated that if there were no immortal rules and regulations, people in the immortal world would even be able to travel to the lower world. If he really wants to seize the Imei sect's most precious purple and green swords and ruin Imei's great fortune, I'm afraid that no matter how strict the heavens rules are, Master Beimei will kill him. And behind Imei is not just Beimei himself. Master Chuo Sanzi and Uncle Daiwan Jinren are both characters who have ascended. Although Su Junming is already a first-rate immortal, he is far behind compared to what others have accumulated over thousands of years. If you fight, you will definitely not be able to defeat him. The Dragon Emperor gave the Dragon Emperor a blank look. Do you think I'm someone who doesn't care about the overall situation when my head gets hot? Picture. Looking at his serious face, Su Junming twitched the corners of his mouth. Forget it, let me tell you. I just want to understand the forbidden laws of Ziying sword and King Suo sword, so as to lay the foundation for practicing the four-elephant sword formation in the future. Real? Certainly. The Dragon Emperor nodded silently. I will help you keep an eye on it. How can you unblock your cultivation if you don't move here? It's just a matter of incarnation and travel. Otherwise, why would you let me practice this 5 elements golden net? Besides, there are tens of thousands of practitioners in the Kangmang Mountain, and there are always many external demons and evil ways for me to accumulate merit. Since you are sure, I won't say more. If you have a chance, you can snatch Wanyan when I away, Su Junming said. The Dragon Emperor nodded. What about you? Are you planning to stay in Chang'an? Haha, I'm going to Taihang Mountain. Counting the time, the second sword fight is about to begin. I don't want to miss this famous scene. Of course, I also have to visit the Sans Cliff Hangsu immortal mansion left by Lu Dongbin. After saying that, the body transformed into a escaping light and soared into the sky, and soon disappeared into the horizon. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 544. Chapter 535, Pure Yang Scripture. Taihang Mountain is also known as Queen Mother Mountain and Wuxing Mountain. The boundary between the 4 provinces stretches 90,000 miles across, like an extremely solid backbone, supporting the entire Chinese land of Shushan. The Taihang Mountains are influenced by the aura of heaven and earth. The mountains are steep in the east and gentle in the west, with deep meanderings, adjacent canyons, and many waterfalls. It is full of exotic flowers and plants, as well as numerous birds and beasts. It has always been a place for Taoists to hide from the world and live in seclusion. The most famous among them is Lu Chunyang, one of the 8 immortals of Shangdong. Su Junming was very suspicious. Was the Chunyang patriarch of this world the same person as the Chunyang patriarch he knew? You must know that there are no rumors of the 8 immortals in Shu Mountain, only Chunyang patriarch Lu Dongbin. Su Junming's cultivation is limited, and now is not the time to pursue these unsolved mysteries. A ray of light spanned the sky and stopped in mid-air, revealing a tall young man wearing a blue robe, a green gourd hanging from his waist, and holding a bamboo stick. It took 3 days to reach Su Junming above the Taihang Mountains. Looking down at the vast and majestic mountains that looked like a giant dragon lying down below, I slowly exhaled. It is rumored that before his ascension, Master Chunyang opened 7 other mansions in the human world, 6 of which have been discovered by later generations. There are many celestial beings in the caves, countless elixirs and magic weapons, and they have created countless swordsmen and heroes. Only the last immortal mansion, Hangsu Immortal Palace, has not been discovered yet. Chunyang Genren once said that he would leave his Taoism behind to wait for fate. Therefore, everyone has been guessing that this Taoist lineage is in this last immortal mansion, and it also makes more people flock to Hangsu Immortal Palace. However, for thousands of years, no one has been able to find its true location. Of course Su Junming knew that Hangsu Immortal Mansion was located at Sands Cliff, but where exactly was Sands Cliff? He doesn't know either. Still the old way. On the bronze mirror. The bronze mirror that illuminates thousands of miles has the power of perspective and fortune-telling. As long as you are willing to put in the effort, it is easy to find the threefold cliff. As his heart moved, tens of thousands of light beams of luck shot up into the sky in an instant. However, only one of them achieved immortality, a monk who lived in seclusion in the mountains. The rest are quite different. Ignoring the luck that obviously belonged to the monks, he soon made a discovery. It's really lucky. It took no effort at all. Feeling happy in my heart, I activated my escape light and soon came to a valley with secluded scenery, beautiful climate, and secluded scenery. The valley is lush on three sides, but on the north side is a towering cliff, which is as smooth as a mirror and steep. The strange thing is that directly opposite there is a 100-meter deep recess, and another sudden protrusion. If someone looks down from the air, they can see that the cliff is like a zigzag, with twists and turns, and one can't help but marvel at the magic of the creation of heaven and earth. Threefold cliff, it is indeed a threefold cliff. Su Junming fell from the sky. Suddenly the vines shook and a golden light flashed. Accompanied by the explosive sound of breaking wind, a blue stone stick as thick as an oval, filled with boundless power, swept over. Su Junming looked calm and stretched his palm forward. Boom! The giant stick that could break rocks was easily grasped by his disproportionate palm. Holding the giant stick in both hands, the 1-foot-tall giant ape with golden hair showed a hint of shock on his face. Looking at the indifferent eyes of the visitor, the giant ape roared angrily, its thick canine teeth protruded, and its expression was ferocious. The muscles all over its body bulged, and the energy and blood all over its body surged. The hard rock under its feet sank 3 feet with a crack sound. But the light yellow broad palm is like an eternal giant mountain. No matter how hard it is, it cannot shake even a hair. It's my turn next. After Su Junming finished speaking calmly, he threw it away. The golden giant ape, whose muscles were knotted and as majestic as a mountain, was instantly thrown hundreds of feet away and embedded into the rock wall with a bang. Just as he was about to break free, a silvery white light enveloped him, and he was instantly sealed. Su Junming withdrew his gaze, stepped lightly on his sandals, and walked around a deep pool with wild spring water. He separated the thick vines that were densely packed with various spiritual flowers in bloom, and a large concave cave appeared in front of him. The cave is wide on the outside and narrow on the inside. It is 2 feet high and about half an acre in size. The ground is extremely flat. At the innermost side of the cave is a slightly modeled stone door that is 2 feet wide and 1 to 3 or 4 feet high. Above the stone gate, covered by moss, the 4 characters Hangsu Immortal Mansion come into view. Found it? Striding into the open stone door, after passing through the 6-foot-long rock passage, you will see a wide stone chamber with various stone tables, chairs, and stone shelves arranged in an orderly manner, including an alchemy stove, a jade cloud bed, and everything is available. Su Junming walked to the table and stretched out his hand to touch it. It turned out to be spotless. Looking around, even though it is a room, the light is not dim. The 4 walls are inlaid with several large luminous pearls, and there are even more colorful gems scattered on them. It's light and shadow, glass, reflecting each other, creating a wonder. Behind the cave is a tall rock screen. After bypassing the screen, there is another passage behind. Along the way, Su Junming discovered that this cave actually occupies a very large area. There were more than a dozen of them in front of him. Some of them were marked with words such as sword training room and alchemy room in vermilion seal characters, while others were marked with vermilion seal characters. It's empty and I don't know what it is used for. When Su Junming walked to the deepest point, he saw a vast expanse of space in front of him. This stone chamber was much larger than the hall he had seen before. The dome was so high that it was about 10 feet long and about an acre wide. However, it was empty inside except for in the middle is a large four-legged cauldron that is as tall as a man and requires 8 people to hug it. The tripod is embossed with birds, animals, and cloud seals, which looks unusually simple. There is a trigram-shaped copper plate at the bottom, with red fire lingering inside. Although it is not enough to make elixirs, it will not make the medicine cauldron completely cold. It's really rare to find a top-quality spiritual treasure-level elixir cauldron. With a move of his hand, the alchemy and the copper plate below flew into his sleeve. He raised his head and glanced, his hands spinning like wheels, and the seals gathered into a bright spiritual light, shining directly on the stone wall above his head. In an instant, the originally peaceful rock seemed to come alive. In the dim light yellow light, a light cyan stone box slowly flew towards Su Junming's hand. The stone box is 2 feet long, 1 foot 6 inches wide and 9 inches high. There is a red gold talisman attached to it. The moment Su Junming unveiled the talisman, 2 swords soared into the sky. Before they could take any action, they were immediately suppressed. Open the stone box. 2 small forsythia swords 1 foot 9 inches long and a small green medicine hoe came into view. He took out one casually, unsheathed the sword, and a sword like a curve of clear water appeared in his eyes. Turn it over, and 2 ancient seal characters are revealed under the sword's calyx. Chun Yang. Pure Yang sword. With a slight exertion, there was a clear and pleasant dragon roar, and without any urging, 3 feet of sword energy flew through the air. Feeling the residual heat, Su Junming nodded with satisfaction. What a pure Yang spirit sword. After returning the sword into its sheath, look at the other one. The style and size are similar to the evil sword, but the name is indeed Tian Ian. Pure Yang sword. Sky escape sword. 2 pure Yang swords with 12 spiritual taboos. For any monk who has not yet achieved immortality, these 2 swords are rare tools for defending the Tao. Even if they get one, they will love them as much as their lives. But for Su Junming, who has become an immortal, there is still a lot left. After playing with it for a while, he put away the 2 swords and looked at the green medicine hoe. 1 foot and 3 inches long, it seems to be carved from jasper, crystal clear and surrounded by fairy light. Under the handle, there are 2 ancient seal scripts. Jishi. This is an immortal weapon with 2 forbidden immortals. This hoe is much better than the fairy sword. After a little practice, Su Junming quickly understood the usage of this immortal hoe. It can not only identify the medicinal properties of herbs, but also has the effect of detoxification. If it is used to dig out elixirs and spiritual herbs, it can 100% ensure their integrity, so that the medicinal properties will not be damaged due to ignorance or temporary negligence. Of course, this hoe can also be used for fighting, but it is not as powerful as a killing weapon. After playing with the Jishixiangxian hoe for a while, his interest calmed down slightly, his heart moved slightly, and 2 arms grew from his back. The seals were flying, and the spiritual light flew into the stone box. After a moment, there was only a choking sound. The stone box, which was originally as solid as a single piece, actually had a second layer. After opening it, 2 gourds, 1 green and 1 gold, were revealed. There are talismans attached to the mouths of the gourds. Through the bronze mirror, you can see that the 2 gourds are full of round and round elixirs. The rich medicinal energy is rolling like a tide, and the essence is filled to the brim. Open the bottom of the gourd, and the golden gourd has the rubbing of Yi Qi pure Yang pill on the bottom, the green gourd has the rubbing of Shang Yuan refining pill on the bottom. Both gourds contain 36 pills. Su Junming is also good at refining elixirs, and one can tell at a glance that these two are rare elixirs. One is to replenish qi, and the other is to strengthen the body. That's interesting. Open the third level in the same manner. 3 golden books came into view. The first volume is the Chunyang Sutra that Su Junming has been thinking about. The second volume is the Heaven Escape Sword Technique. The third volume is the Ji Shi Danjeng. Subconsciously, he opened the Chunyang Sutra. After a long time, he took a long breath, with a look of satisfaction on his face. Sure enough, it is a pure Yang method that leads directly to the golden immortal. It is exquisite. It is really exquisite. Pick up the Heavenly Escape Sword Technique, which is a typical sword cultivation secret method, and there are also 12 types of Heavenly Escape Sword Technique, which, like the Chunyang Manual, can lead directly to the golden immortal. Ji Shi Danjing is not inferior to the two. However, there are no cultivation methods in it, only alchemy techniques and 12 kinds of elixir training methods. Not to mention the alchemy formula, but the alchemy technique is the most exquisite alchemy technique Su Junming has ever seen, even better than the alchemy technique he learned through the bronze mirror and combined the strengths of hundreds of schools of thought. Zhenyang Chunyang is indeed worthy of being one of the 8 immortals of Shangdong. He is the direct descendant of Laozi, the sage of taking. The 3 parts of the inheritance are so exquisite that they are breathtaking. While marveling in my heart, I felt a little regretful as to why I didn't come looking for this pure Yang treasure earlier. Su Junming stayed in this cave for half a month. After briefly studying these 3 fairy books, he put them away with a look of reluctance. Looking around this vast immortal mansion spirit kill, Su Junming shook his head slightly, turned around and walked out. He has no intention of staying here permanently. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest for us. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 545. Chapter 536 Tai Hunyuan Patriarch. When he came to the outside of the cave, he stretched out his hand and made a move. The big golden monkey that had been knocked away instantly flew 3 feet away in front of him and fell to the ground in a panic. Are you the guardian spirit beast of Master Chunyang? The golden ape, who was easily subdued, faced Su Junming again, feeling deep awe in his heart and said quickly. The little beast was originally an ordinary ape in the Taihang Mountains. One day he was chased by a tiger and leopard. He accidentally broke into the cave of Chunyang Master. He obtained the 3 golden elixirs sacrificed in the elixir furnace. He opened his spiritual wisdom and developed magical powers. He was not Chunyang, a true spiritual ape who protects the Dharma. After saying that, he fell to the ground again. The little beast is stateless and has offended the real tiger. I hope that the real man will forgive me for the little beast's ignorance, stupidity, and lack of etiquette. Su Junming said calmly, your current conversation does not seem to be illogical. Seeing the twinkling light in his eyes, Jin Yuan's heart trembled and he didn't dare to neglect. Back to the real person, according to this, there is a Chongshan temple 300 miles away. The presiding officer in the temple is called Ming Shan. He often lectures on Buddhism, and the little animals often go to eavesdrop, so he knows how to feel ashamed. I have some good fortune for you here, are you willing to do it? I'm sorry, my dear, but this little beast is vulgar and rude, and he's used to being at home in this mountain. I'm afraid. Su Junming frowned slightly. He originally thought that the golden monkey had good strength and wanted to get him back to Chongshan Academy to guard the gate. If it doesn't want to, forget it. As soon as he took a step, his figure disappeared instantly. Seeing this scene, it held its breath and concentrated for a long time, until the vast and astonishing aura completely disappeared, then it took a breath and slowly stood up from the ground. I wonder who this person is, what a profound cultivation level. With its nascent soul realm cultivation and natural strength, there was no room for resistance in front of this person. This is the first time it has encountered this situation. If you follow him, you might have a better future. Shaked his head. Although this person looks decent, who knows if he is really so? Without knowing the details, if you rush into the disciples, you might get your soul drained and refined. Rather than taking such a risk, it is better to stay here and practice freely. Anyway, there is no shortage of skills, you just need to follow the steps. After leaving Sands Cliff, Su Junming flew closer to Wutai Mountain in the center. Along the way, there were many people around who, like him, took the Wutai Mountain route. Apparently they were all monks who went to watch the martial arts battle between Yimei's second-generation Pope Qinkangenki Miao Igenren Qi Shuming and the Wutai sect's founder Tai Hunyuan. Su Junming was in no hurry to go there. Anyway, there are still 7 days left. But just when he was 6 or 7,000 miles away from Tongtian Gorge, where the Wutai sect was located, his expression suddenly changed. How can it be? As his heart moved, a talisman that he had carried with him since he entered the Dao flew out of his left sleeve. This talisman, which has been extremely peaceful for more than 200 years, is now blooming with a faint cyan aura, and there is a faint attraction that leads it to fly towards the northeast. Su Junming was slightly looking forward to it. Activate the escape light and fly straight in the direction of the spiritual talisman. Soon, a towering mountain appeared in front of us. After flying over, the line of sight suddenly widened. A huge canyon, hundreds of miles wide and thousands of miles long, appeared in front of us. The canyon is as green as dye, with strange peaks and rocks, waterfalls and springs, and beautiful flowers and grasses. It is full of stunning scenery. Especially in the center of the canyon, a broad river meanders. Stone peaks of various sizes and shapes protrude from the center of the river. There are lush vegetation on the stone peak, with pavilions and pavilions looming. Especially the stone peak in the center, which is 1,000 feet high, has been artificially flattened. There are cascading palaces and pavilions on top of it. There is a mighty aura, strange beasts are flying, and there are escaping lights that rise and fall from time to time. It is obviously a sect of a certain sect. Su Junming was in mid-air, overlooking the wide canyon in front of him. The magic talisman in his hand was trembling, and he wanted to fly towards the giant peak in the center of the canyon. But he didn't let go. Because the giant canyon in front of us is called Tongtian Gorge. And the huge peak in the valley is called Tongtian Peak. The Wutai sect is located on Tongtian Peak. It seems that after his reincarnation, he has become a member of the Wutai sect, but I don't know his identity. After taking a deep look at the palaces on Tongtian Peak, Su Junming took one step and instantly crossed 3,000 feet to a small hidden valley. I randomly found a piece of bluestone about 3 feet in size and sat down cross-legged. He stretched out his hand and pointed at the green talisman to activate the soul talisman, and trace the source with the help of the soul energy inside. Chen Lin. In an instant, the middle-aged man sitting cross-legged in the main hall at the highest point in Tongtian Peak clicked and opened his eyes. 2 rays of light, like cold lightning, flashed away. Who is it? Chen Lin. The voice of calling sounded from the bottom of my heart again. A middle-aged man wearing a green robe and a golden crown stood up and walked out of the hall. A tutu wearing a monk's robe came over. Does the leader have any instructions? I'm going out temporarily, you don't have to follow me. Leader. Before he finished speaking, the middle-aged man had disappeared. Looking at the escape light that disappeared in an instant, Tao Chuo's expression changed, and he quickly made a few seals, and 3 hidden sword lights flew in all directions. Following the guidance of the call from the soul, the middle-aged man quickly found a small hidden valley. After a quick sweep of his consciousness, he didn't notice any trace of the forbidden trap, and then he flew in carefully. Soon, on the boulder at the bottom of the valley, a tall figure wearing a green robe, a green gourd hanging on his waist, and a green bamboo staff on his knees came into view. How can it be? Indescribable shock appeared on the middle-aged man's face. Su Junming smiled calmly. It seems you still know me. The middle-aged man fell to the rock, knelt on his knees, and paid homage. Disciple Chen Lin pays homage to his mentor. Su Junming remained unmoved. Although you and I have the title of master and disciple, I have never taught you for a day. You don't have to worship me. What's more, today you are the founder of the Wutai sect, with hundreds of disciples, and you are famous and respected. He never expected that Chen Lin, who once worshipped him as his disciple in the Black Ming Valley in the Chinese world, then went to reincarnation, was already in Shushan when we met again, and had become the head of the famous Wutai sect, Tai Hunyuan Patriarch. You must know that the current Wutai sect can vaguely compete with Ime. Maha Venerable Sikongzhan, Master Tuochuo, Wonderful Fairy Su Finiang, Suan Du Taoist Lin Yuan, Yu Qinban, Golden Arhat Fa Yuan, Sun and Moon Mengqi and Xiao, Seven-Handed Yaksha Longfei and so on. They are all experts who have been practicing for hundreds of years. Not much worse than the second-generation disciples below Beimei of the Ime sect. Even Patriarch Tai Hunyuan, who practiced hard for 10 years and mastered the 5-poison immortal sword, was even better than Qinkan Genki Miao Genren Qi Shuming. If Zhu Hong hadn't stolen the protective treasure Tai 5 Yan Luo and was besieged by Xian Zhenzi and ascetic Tuchuo, it's still unclear who would win in the final battle. Once a teacher, always a father. Although the disciple listened to the master's teachings for a short time, he never regretted it. Su Junming looked directly at him and said, "What if I ask you to give up your position as head of the Wutai sect?" Facing the gaze that seemed to see through his heart, Chen Lin nodded without hesitation. Disciple is willing. Su Junming, who practices Soul Taoism, has a deep understanding of everything. Unless you have a higher level of cultivation than him, you can't even think of deceiving him. At that moment, Chen Lin's Yuan Shen light did not panic for a moment. Obviously, his previous words of giving up the head of the Wutai sect were not false. Looking at you, it seems like you don't care much about the position of leader. 230 years ago, my disciple left his master and reincarnated. He never thought that he was not reincarnated in China, but instead came here and became an orphan in troubled times. Fortunately, he had excellent qualifications and was recruited by the ancestor of the northern demon sect at that time, Amoluo. The master took him under his disciples and became his founding disciple. I practiced hard for 120 years, advanced to the realm of soul, awakened from my past life, and understood everything. Later, Master Amoluo died in response to the disaster, and I inherited the position of Pope and took charge of the northern demon section. Because I was dissatisfied with the extreme behavior of the demon sect, I would often extract souls and refine souls, and kill countless people. It also happened that I obtained a Taoist true scripture Hunyuan Zhenjing at Tianzu Peak in Mission Mountain, so I made up my mind to reorganize the northern demon sect into a new organization. The Wutai sect reorganized the canon and killed a group of disciples who had committed serious crimes. Originally, I thought that the situation was set and the Wutai sect would be successful. But those disciples took advantage of me to retreat and had no time to manage the Pope. They returned to their old ways. Even some of my new disciples were led astray by them. Although the Wutai sect is very prestigious in the spiritual world now, it is not the great Taoist sect I want. Except for Su Finiang, Yu Qinban, and Lin Yuan, a few of its disciples are decent people and have not done any great evil in the past. The rest are the actions of the demonic cult. If such a sect master is given up, the disciples will not only not feel it is a pity, but will also be deeply grateful. Finally, a heavy burden has been lifted. Su Junming was always observing his demeanor when he spoke, and there was no trace of panic or cover-up from beginning to end. It was obvious that he was speaking from the bottom of his heart. Observing with a bronze mirror, although Chen Lin didn't have many merits and virtues, he didn't have any air of injustice. Obviously, he hasn't done anything bad in his daily life. Give me the Hunyuan scripture you obtained. Chen Lin nodded and patted the bag on his waist. The three sides were 2 feet long and 1 foot and 3 inches wide. The green jade plate flew into Su Junming's hands. Divine consciousness is immersed, and countless eclipse texts are reflected in the sea of consciousness. It contains nearly 200,000 words. This scale far exceeds the Chunyang scripture, and is even better than the Hesha Kishu and Biangtianshu. However, the depth of the Hunyuan scripture is not as good as the above three. The 3 books of Chunyang, Hesha, and Biang all lead directly to Jingxian, but the Hunyuan scripture has no way forward until the stage of true immortal. However, the Taoist methods, formations, elixir recipes, etc. attached to the back of the Hunyuan scripture are 10 times that of the Chunyang, Hesha, and Biang books. The 5 immortal swords, Suan Du Yujing sword, Yuan Si Aurora sword, 7-star escape light sword, Qinglong Nea high sword, and Tai Yin and Yang sword. The 5 swords of the devil, the divine infant sword, the heavenly demon killing immortal sword, the 9 sons and souls sword, the 100 spirits killing immortal sword, and the 5 poison immortal sword. In addition to the most immortal sword ritual training methods, there are also methods such as Plague Emperor's Taoist Banner, 100 Ghosts Night Walk, Liu Liu Zhenyu and Gourd, Tai 5 Yan Luo, 5 Escape Divine Stake, Tianxin Jin, and other methods, as well as demonic spirit treasure sacrifice training methods. Law. Formations such as the 12 gods and evil formations, the 9 palaces to kill immortals, and the 100 poisons and soul refining formations. There are many prescriptions for immortal and poisonous elixirs such as thousand poison pills, heavenly thunder spiritual pills, refining gods and illusion walking pills, 10,000 souls gathering pills and many other immortal and poisonous elixirs. It can be said that this Hunyuan scripture is the master of the immortal and demonic realms. Moreover, the method of cultivating each magical weapon and the method of arranging the formations have been carefully selected, and they are all the best among them. Obviously, the person who created this scripture wanted to combine the 2 paths of immortality and demonism to find a new path. Although I don't know this person's name, he is undoubtedly a strong man with great courage and extraordinary understanding. But seeing that this skill only reaches the true immortal realm, and lacks the follow-up methods of the mysterious immortal and golden immortal realms, we know that this person's ambition has not been successful. Either they quit when faced with difficulties, or they fell halfway. Su Junming shook his head slightly. It's not that the immortal way and the demonic way cannot be integrated, but the magic way of the demonic way is to pursuit of randomness, despising the Taoism and focusing on magic power. So much so that in the process of pursuing magic power, most people gradually lose their self-control and start killing innocent people indiscriminately. This is just like drug addiction. Many people think they will not become addicted, but in the end most of them are addicted to desire and cannot extricate themselves. Su Junming waved his hand, and a golden book flew into Chen Lin's hand. Take a look. The Chunyang True Sutra by Lu Dongbin, the founder of Chunyang. This is what I got by chance. If you become my disciple, you have to start over and practice this technique. If you don't want to, I will give you 36 elixirs, 2 immortal weapons, and an immortal root. This is how we understand the relationship between master and disciple. Chen Lin showed a trace of hesitation on his face. Give up more than 200 years of hard work and start over. It would be difficult for anyone else to make up their mind. Su Junming did not force him, and quietly waited for Chen Lin to make a decision. Half an hour later, Chen Lin's expression gradually became firmer. Lifting up his robe, he knelt 3 times and kowtowed 9 times in front of Su Junming. Disciple pays homage to his master, and everything must be done according to the master's words. Disciple gives up his position as the leader of the Wutai sect, reincarnates, and starts cultivating again. Reincarnate and practice again? I asked you to give up the Hunyuan scripture, but I didn't ask you to reincarnate and practice again. Master, if the body is taken away, the true spirit and the physical body will not match each other. In the future, it will be easy to fall into a demonic obstacle during the immortal tribulation. Su Junming smiled faintly. If you want to recast the foundation of Taoism in this world, you need more than reincarnation to rebuild it. Come and see. After finishing speaking, he spread his palms. A milky white spiritual light grew from small to large, and soon became brighter. Chen-Lin felt the extremely rich aura of creation from it. After thinking for a moment, his expression quickly became excited. Teacher, this is the innate Taishi's fundamental energy of creation. Su Junming smiled and nodded. This bit of innate Taishi's fundamental energy of creation is a very small part that he extracted from the spiritual embryo of creation. It is impossible to transform an innate spirit into being, but it is still very easy to forge an innate Taoist body. This kind of body made of innate creation energy has no soul to reside in it, so there is no barrier that is almost difficult to remove after the body is taken away. Clenching his fists, the innate Taishi's fundamental energy of creation was put away, and at the same time, a black talisman flew towards Chen-Lin. Wear this Hushan talisman close to your body. Yes. After Chen-Lin received the result, he solemnly put it into his chest. 7 days from now will be the period of your battle with the Imei section. At that time, not only Qi Shuming, but also all the Imei disciples such as Xianzhenzi, ascetic Taochuo, soul chaser Bai Gai, etc. will take action. Although the Wutai sect has a deep foundation, it is far inferior to the Imei monks. The foundation is deep and the stamina is long-lasting. Therefore, the Wutai sect will definitely lose in this battle. Chen-Lin's brows trembled. Although he didn't want to admit it, this was indeed what the master said. Thinking again about the behavior of the disciples under Wutai sect, I sighed secretly in my heart. She glanced at him and said calmly, although this battle is bound to be lost, let's just give it a try. We might as well let go of this physical body and soul, so that we can start over again. If Chen-Lin realized something, he nodded heavily. Disciple understands. Don't worry, your master and I will definitely be able to hold your 3 souls and 7 souls. After saying that, 3 majestic divine doors flashed overhead. Although it was just a glimpse, the powerful pressure shocked Chen-Lin inexplicably, especially the bronze divine door with a bronze mirror inlaid on the lintel in the middle. The pressure was particularly powerful. It even surpassed the purple and green swords, Imei's mountain treasure that he had seen several times before. My master has only been seen for 200 years. He has already advanced to the fairy land with his cultivation. The treasure in his hand is even more powerful. It is really shocking. Su Junming's astonishing cultivation level is also the main reason why he is willing to abandon the Hunyuan Sutra and start over. Become a disciple of Taoist priest for us. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 548. When you get started, I will give you new immortal weapons. With a wave of his hand, a set of 3 swords appeared in 3 colors, gold, red, and purple. A dark red robe with gold threads woven into clouds. A pale gold, 9-inch diameter black ring with an embossed snake pattern. The magic sword is one of the treasures left by Zhongmen in Zhongnan Mountain, the 3 yang and 1 qi sword, a spiritual treasure with 12 forbidden spirits. The robe is one of the 6 immortal artifacts of the ancient dragon court in the Liuzai world, the red cloud robe, a forbidden immortal artifact. The light golden ring, called the golden snake ring, was made by him using the remains of the bass snake in the late immortal period in the ancient dragon court, which has 3 immortal taboos. In addition to this golden snake ring, Su Junming obtained 4 immortal level dragon bones from the ancient dragon court. One of the more severely broken ones was transformed into pure white bone essence after refining to support itself. One of them was trained into a 3-foot-long giant sword, named the Dragon-Breaking Sword, which was given to the eldest disciple Qin Zhong by the 3 immortal taboos. One was made into a Taiji, a white dragon boat, and given to Zuch Wolong. The last one was made into the Tai golden dragon boat and given to the 3rd disciple Yan Chixia. As for the Chunyang sword and Tiandun sword obtained from Master Chunyang, it was not that Su Junming was reluctant to give them to Chen Lin, but that these 2 swords were flying swords, not magic swords, so giving them to him would have been a waste. Feeling the powerful spiritual energy lingering on the 3 treasures in front of him, especially the robe and golden ring, far surpassed his most proud spiritual treasure, the 5-poison immortal sword. Seeing the warmth in Chen Lin's eyes, Su Junming smiled faintly, waved, and the 3 magic weapons flew into his hand again and disappeared. A look of despair appeared on Chen Lin's face. When you officially become my disciple, these treasures will still be yours. Yes, disciple, I obey. After hesitating for a moment, he said, Master, I have a heartfelt request. Explain. I still have several disciples. Although they are from the demon sect, they have not contracted bad habits. They have excellent minds, extraordinary understanding and aptitude. Therefore, I want to bring them under the mentors section. How many people? What are their names? Su Finiang, Lin Yuan, Yu Qinbin. It is indeed them, Su Junming thought to himself. In the eyes of the people of the Imei sect, Su Finiang, the wonderful immortal girl, is naturally an evildoer who wants to be eliminated quickly, but in the eyes of Su Junming, being able to risk her own life to fight against the increasingly large Imei sect is indeed a sign of love and justice. You know, even the immortal level demons like Old Man Shippy and Jupan Po are afraid of Imei like a tiger. If they weren't forced into a corner by a few Imei juniors, they would have been a tortoise all the time. This shows how much pressure Su Finiang faces. In contrast, Su Junming himself also wanted someone like Su Finiang who did not forget his teacher's kindness and had a filial piety. I don't want an immortal level disciple like Old Man Zipai either. Although Lin Yuan and Yu Qinbin are rarely mentioned in the book, they occasionally appear a few times, and both are valued by both good and evil. My Chongshan lineage has its own laws. If you want to enter our sect, you must pass the human level test of my human soul divine sect before you can enter the inner sect to practice. Only by passing the earth level test can you become a direct descendant. Only those who pass the heaven level test can go down the mountain and walk on the road. Since you have become my disciple, you should also abide by this rule. If Chen Lin had not promised to accept him as a disciple, Su Junming would not have accepted him even though he was the patriarch of Tai Hunyuan, but he was tested at the earth level of the human soul divine sect. Chen Lin nodded and was about to speak when his eyes suddenly lit up. The name of my mentor is True Lord Chongshan. Su Junming nodded slightly. Half a year ago, there was a rumor in the cultivation world that my mentor and the god Nifanta fought in Biang Mountain for 3 days and 3 nights, and finally won with a single sword technique, shocking the world. There was a touch of excitement in Chen Lin's eyes. He never expected that the master he worshipped not only had the cultivation level of an immortal, but also a being who could be stronger than Chenafanta. That was when he entered the Tao, and he had already achieved the Buddhist power of the immortal realm. If he hadn't made a vow when he became enlightened that he would never ascend unless he accumulated millions of good deeds, he would have become a member of the spiritual world by now. But it was such a Buddhist saint who was defeated by his master. In an instant, his mentor's figure became even more majestic in his eyes. The slightest dissatisfaction with being forced to give up the Wutai sect and resume practicing Taoism disappeared in an instant. The ability of a mentor makes his disciples feel convinced. Chen Lin bowed respectfully and said. Su Junming smiled calmly. There are still 7 days before the fight. I will explain to you the Chunyang Taoist method for 7 days. When you are reborn the next day, you can resume your cultivation as soon as possible. Chen Lin nodded, sat cross-legged and meditated, and his expression gradually calmed down. I have an empty stomach, and the way I talk about is still empty. Looking at Chen Lin, who seemed to be enlightened, Su Junming nodded secretly in his heart. This disciple can become the founder of a sect and make the Wutai sect prosperous. At the same time, he can also compete with Shushan Ime. His aptitude, understanding, and even courage are all top-notch. In the spacious and magnificent hall, except for the main seat in the middle, there are more than a dozen monks and laymen sitting cross-legged in 2 rows. Everyone exudes a deep aura, which shows that their cultivation is extremely advanced. Especially Taochuo, who is sitting at the top on the left and wearing Taoist attire, has an even more obscure aura. In comparison, the one on the right, a beautiful Taoist nun wearing a purple skirt, is a step behind. However, next to him, there was a young man who looked about 17 or 18 years old, wearing a green Taoist robe and a golden crown, but his aura was completely different from that of the tutu. Compared to the 3 of them, the rest were a little worse. Ime's letter of challenge was delivered 3 days ago. Today is the competition period. Why hasn't the leader come out to take charge of the overall situation? A monk with a fat head and big ears turned his head after finishing speaking. Su Finiang, I am usually the closest to you among the sect leaders. The Taoist nun in a purple dress gave him a cold look. Fei Wan, what do you mean? Hey, it's not interesting. I'm just asking about the whereabouts of the leader. Why are you reacting so hard? Isn't it because the leader's departure really has something to do with you? Fei Wan, if you are disrespectful to senior sister Su, don't blame me for being rude to you. The 3rd person on the right, a young man wearing a white robe and with a sharp breath, glared angrily. Lin Yuan, senior brother Fei Wan is just concerned about the leader's whereabouts. Why are you so excited? Fa Yuan lowered his head. A tall and thin young man wearing a green Taoist robe and described as sinister said in a cold voice. Long Fei. All right. With a loud shout, powerful mana surged out. Taochuo, who was sitting first on the left-hand side, opened his eyes, and his majestic gaze swept over everyone. We are facing a formidable enemy, are you going to have internal strife? Yu Qinbin, who was wearing a green robe and a golden crown, narrowed his eyes and said in his heart, Senior brother Tuochuo's cultivation level is even higher. Senior brother, please calm down. Our hearts go to Wutai and we have no intention of internal strife. We were just concerned about the leader's whereabouts and lost our composure for a moment, Long Fei said loudly. What junior brother Long Fei said is true. In addition, I suggest that now that the enemy is facing us and the leader is away, we should also ask senior brother Tuochuo to take charge of the overall situation and lead us to fight against the Ime section, Fa Yuan said. I agree with senior brother Fei Wan and ask senior brother Tuochuo to take charge of the overall situation, Long Fei agreed. I also agree with what senior brother Fei Wan said. For a time, the hall was divided into 2 groups. Long Fei, Sun Moon Seng Qian Xiao, Zhu Hong, Ni Langzhen, Pang Yao and others all supported Fa Yuan and let Tuo Tuo take charge of the overall situation. Su Finiang, Yu Qinbin, Lin Yuan, and Taoist Jiao Shan frowned and did not make a sound. Cough. It was not a loud cough, but it accurately reached the ears of everyone in the hall. Everyone was stunned and subconsciously looked in the direction of the sound. Yu Qinbin put down his hand and looked calmly at Tuochuo, who was on the left. Elder brother, as far as I know, you were on duty outside the Tai Palace that day. You should know the master's whereabouts best. Tuochuo looked over with a profound gaze. Junior brother Yu seems to have something in his words. Yu Qinbin met the other party's eyes and said calmly, Elder brother is too worried, I'm just asking. Moreover, it is well known to everyone that the eldest brother was on duty at Tai Palace that day. What senior brother you said is true. Senior brother, you were on duty outside Tai Palace 7 days ago. You know the master's whereabouts best, Lin Yuan said quickly. You. Just as Long Fei was about to speak, his expression suddenly changed. Not just him, but everyone in the palace's expressions changed slightly. A five-color spiritual light flew in from outside the hall like lightning, and after circling the main seat in the middle, a tall, thin, middle-aged man with a light face wearing a blue cloak appeared in front of everyone. Master Tuochuo looked solemn, and Su Finiang, Yu Qinbin, Long Fei, and Fei Wan also stood up quickly. See the leader. Looking around at the subordinates, Tai Hunyuan Patriarch Chen Lin's eyes flashed. If it were before, he might still value the Wu Tai sect's thousand-year foundation. But now that he has decided to re-enter the sect and practice again, the charm of Wu Tai sect has been reduced by half in an instant. Now in Chen Lin's eyes, this unexpected sect has become a burden on his path to success. Except for a few disciples who could escape from the mire and stick to their principles, he didn't care about the others who had fallen into the devil's path. Seeing that Patriarch Hunyuan was silent for a long time, everyone was secretly worried. This was the first time they encountered this situation. Especially Fa Yuan and Long Fei, those who clamored for Tuo Tuo to be the temporary leader, were even more panicked. Just get up. A cool voice reached my ears. Everyone was shocked. Thank you, Master. Standing up, Tuochuo looked at Patriarch Hunyuan's eyes as deep as the abyss. His heart thumped. He was about to speak when he heard, Zhu Hong. Zhu Hong, who was sitting behind Long Fei, almost jumped up when he heard this and said tremblingly, Zhu Hong pays homage to the leader. May the leader be blessed with peace and happiness. May he enjoy immortal blessings forever and live as long as heaven. Patriarch Hunyuan looked calm. Where is the Tai 5 Yan Luo I gave you? Zhu Hong's expression changed slightly. The leader's huge treasure, the disciples dare not carry it with them. They are currently in the cave. Patriarch Hunyuan pressed his fingers with both hands, and along with the powerful fluctuations of magic power, a five-color smoke flew out of Zhu Hong's magic bag in an instant, like a lantern moth flying in flames, and disappeared in the palm of Patriarch Hunyuan's hand. Zhu Hong's face changed horribly, and he knelt down with a pop. Forgive me, my ancestor. I was anxious to attack Mount Imei and returned from Xiansong Valley in Taihang Mountain in such a hurry that I misremembered the location of the treasure given by the leader. Before he finished speaking, a violent wave swept over him. In an instant, Zhu Hong was knocked back 5 or 6 feet, and a mouthful of blood spurted out. Zhu Hong, whose face turned pale, did not dare to neglect him. He quickly got up and turned over and knelt down again, kowtowing like a fool. The leader forgives the sin, the leader atones, the disciple was negligent for a moment, and he will never dare to do it again next time. The sound of bang-bang kowtows resounded throughout the hall. Even if he was in the early stage of nascent soul, after dozens of kowtows, his forehead became red. Although Tuochuo and Long Fei were close friends with Zhu Hong, they were careful and would not touch the frown of Patriarch Hunyuan at this time. Fa Yuan was impatient. Master, please consider that junior brother Zhu has contributed a lot to finding the 5 poisons and refining the 5 poison immortal sword for the leader, so please bypass him for the time being. With the person who came forward, Master Tuochuo, Long Fei, Sun and Moon Seng Qianxiao and others spoke one after another. For a moment, there was a cry of begging for Zhu Hong's mercy in the hall. Patriarch Hunyuan, who had been silent all this time, nodded slightly. Forget it, considering your great contribution to our religion in the past, I will let you go this time. If you dare to deliberately deceive me next time, don't blame me for being rude. If it weren't for the fact that there was no internal chaos due to the current enemy, he would definitely kill this guy who dared to lie to him this time. Yes, yes, this disciple will never dare to do it again. Zhu Hong nodded repeatedly. Get out of here. Yes. Looking at Zhu Hong, who was curled up and retreating into a corner like a hyena, A trace of contempt flashed in Patriarch Hunyuan's eyes. This Zhu Hong only has the appearance of a middle-aged man in practice, and he is also cunning, selfish, and greedy. If he had not been respectful to him on weekdays and had not violated the canons, he would have killed him long ago. Later, what Grandmaster Hunyuan didn't expect was that Zhu Hong actually found the Xinjian poisonous locust among the 5 innate poisons for him, and solved the most critical main ingredient of the 5 poisons immortal sword. When I feel happy, I want to give some rewards. It happened that Zhu Hong said that in the process of searching for the Xinjian poisonous locust, he had a sleight of hand fight with Zy Taoist, one of the 7 immortals of Ime Luofu. He was defeated because he had no protective magic weapon, so he wanted to borrow the 5 smokes of Tai. Luo, let's go find the place. Patriarch Hunyuan has been grudged since he was injured by Qi Shuming's thunderbolt sword last time. Listening to what Zhu Hong said, and in addition to his great contribution to poisoning, he has always emphasized that those who have made mistakes must be punished, and those who have made contributions must be rewarded. He didn't want to think too much, so he gave the Tai 5 Yan Luo. Later, as the second sword fight with Ime approached, he concentrated on refining the 5 poison immortal sword and forgot about the Tai 5 Yan Luo. What's more important is that he is mentally connected to this treasure and can take it back with a single thought. I never thought that Zhu Hong would be so bold as to embezzle this treasure. Therefore, I have never been in a hurry to take it back. It wasn't until he left his mentor today and Su Junming reminded him to take back Tai Wan Luo that he remembered that the treasure was still in Zhu Hong's hands. After learning that his mentor was Master Chongshan who once defeated Xenophonta in a martial arts battle, and seeing his master's 3 powerful treasures, Chen Lin worshipped his mentor like a god. After returning, the first thing he did was to take back the Tai 5 smoke.